ask you please to stand and welcome the newly elected Lord Mayor of Liverpool, Councillor Eric Duquesne. Can I just welcome you on behalf of Together Liverpool and the working party that's worked very hard to get today together. We really appreciate you coming, and we're hoping to have a very stimulating, challenging, encouraging and hopefully a fun time here today. With a lot of feeling going on. We approach the whole thing in an open and non-judgmental way from our perspective. I think having worked on this and been feeling myself over the past few weeks dealing with the whole issue of asylum and refugee status, I think I want to apologise for the way in which this country so often blots out histories of multiculturalism. I don't know how many of you saw the other night the programme about HMS Bellerophon, that was the fifth ship into the Battle of Trafalgar in Nelson's fleet. That the captain's log had been left to a family, and it was unearthed. And it turned out that amongst the crew on HMS Bellerophon, who fought wonderfully during the Battle of Trafalgar, were a black American slave, a Jamaican, a Swede, and two Frenchmen fighting against the French and the Spanish at the Battle of Trafalgar on British ships. And it just made me think, well, why didn't anybody in history ever tell me that? The whole thing about being multicultural has always been there, and it always will be. And I just wanted to apologise that so often we forget that very easily. We hope one of the aims out of today will be that services collaborate and things get better for all concerned, and especially the asylum seekers and refugees that you all serve in one way or another. I think that's everything from me for now. And I'm delighted to have the Lord Mayor here with us today. And can I ask Councillor Kemp to come and welcome you formally on behalf of the City of Liverpool? Thank you. Give a warm welcome.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can I just say how delighted I am to be here addressing this conference, which is a subject that's in many ways very close to my heart. My mum's parents were economic migrants. They came from Cassino in Italy a couple of generations ago. They actually walked from Cassino in Italy through Europe and joined the Italian community in Durham. But they were economic migrants, not the same as asylum seekers and refugees, but they had that equal pool of skills and experience that they wanted to use to contribute in a positive way. And if any of you are ever in Southend-on-Sea, do call in at Tomasi's ice cream shop, although I think my uncle, who passed away some years ago, would go mad if he heard me referring it to as an ice cream shop. It's an Italian restaurant as well as ice cream. But again, they contributed in a very positive way. He became the Freeman of the Borough in Southend, so that contribution was recognised. Some years ago, just half a mile away from here, when I was quite involved in housing and education at the time, we managed in just 4 days to accommodate 1,000 refugees from Kosovo. It was an amazing experience. Watching some of our great big workers from the direct services operation trying to get a quilt into a quilt cover was very interesting as they struggled to do that. But everybody pulled together in that sense, and our officers, as I say, at that time worked non-stop, not only to make the accommodation fit for purpose, but to understand some of the emotional trauma being experienced by the families as they were arriving. And it was one of the best things that I feel I've ever participated in my work as a councillor. And as it happens, my daughter did some voluntary work with the refugees, and on Wednesday she became my Lady Mayoress. So it's funny, isn't it, how things come round in circles. It's lovely to see so many people here today. As I was chatting to some of you as you were waiting to register, such a diversity of backgrounds and from the field of public service, both in the statutory and voluntary sector. Everybody really keen to come and pool your experiences and your skills to understand where there may be overlapping, but also where there may be gaps. I think today is going to be incredibly useful to you. So I'm very grateful to all those organisations that have come today and to those people who've helped make today happen. I arrive at a conference like this, there's coffee outside, there's an agenda, there's the Twitter feed ready, there's the visual minutes sorted. I think this is amazing. And yet, behind that has been a phenomenal amount of work to make that happen. I know that people like Merseyside Refugee Support Network, the Council, the Red Cross, Merseyside Police, Refugee Action and the Regional Asylum Activism have all been involved in helping get together today. So big thanks to them. Thanks also to Together Liverpool for funding and making this happen. We're pleased also that the Liverpool Diocese and the Archdiocese have committed to their ongoing support, as have the Free Churches. Again, a lovely example. I think this is one of our strengths in Liverpool, isn't it? That we can just pull people together from different beliefs, different backgrounds, and everybody just comes through the door to make things happen. I hope you will all take the opportunity to explore what being a city of sanctuary should mean in practice, and how we can improve the lives of asylum seekers and refugees at a time when our collective resources have never been under more pressure. In fact, sometimes, at times of pressure, we can actually get better things to happen, I think. So I'm going to end with a quotation. I was reading Milton's poem about his blindness and how frustrated he was. I had to study it at school and I didn't really understand it then. And then I reread it the other day and I thought, oh, I really get this now. How frustrated he was that this talent that he had was going to disappear. And he said, when I consider how my light is spent, ere half my days, in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide. And I sort of got an inkling about what that must be like, to have something that you want to offer and not be able to be able to fulfil that. And of course, you know the poem, often it's a very famous sort of like concluding line that says, they also serve who only stand and wait. Well, I hope today that we can do something really positive to help new residents to Liverpool, and I call our people new residents, everyone who comes to Liverpool, with the talents and skills that they have, so they don't have to spend too long standing and waiting, and we welcome them and enable them to use those skills and talents that they have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. It's great to have you with us, and I think we all say we wish you a very happy year in your role. I'm sure you'll enjoy it in this great city of ours. When we were putting this programme together, I've been completely heartened by the way in which a number of people, a number of organisations are working almost flat out to keep things alive and kicking. But also we became strongly aware of the City of Sanctuary movement and the fact that the council accepted City of Sanctuary. But it's a personal thing as well as a corporate thing for the council. So I'm now going to ask Shauna Roberts to come up to introduce the City of Sanctuary pledges and various other things. Sian is the operations manager of Merseyside Refugee Support Network and a lot more things. And we know her and her husband Ewan are Trojans, is the word. Is that a good word these days? I'm not sure that it is. In the field. Please welcome Shauna to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. 2 weeks ago, I had the delight of speaking at a conference in eastern Poland, but it was an evening event and I was able to do that Eurovision thing and go, good evening Bialystok, good evening Europe. Could we just pretend it's evening? So, good evening Liverpool, hello. And good evening, hello to the world in one room. I've been involved with Merseyside Refugee Support Network and the development of the City of Sanctuary campaign in Liverpool over 2 years alongside colleagues in Asylum Links, Solar Arts, STAR, Refugee Action, amongst a myriad of other organisations. The City of Sanctuary campaign started over 2 years ago, and it was a little group of us huddling together thinking, what can we do to make Liverpool a more welcoming place? We know what we do to make things a welcoming place, but we wanted it to be far-reaching and eye-grabbing. But with a small group of people with no funding and Refugee Week 2 years ago fastly approaching, we got together various students, my 2 children, and put together hand-painted sheets with Liverpool City of Sanctuary on it. So fairly early stage, but in the build-up to Refugee Week, our idea was to have a pledge of support and a march to change hearts and minds. But when there's only 4 or 5 of you in the beginning of something, that's quite difficult. So we had our little parade, we enjoyed our Refugee Week celebrations, and thought, how can we take things forward and how can we engage in the wider Liverpool community? Luckily, later that year, with the biennial, the American artist Andrea Bowers, who had been commissioned by the biennial, wanted to undertake an art project with the concept of radical hospitality. That's the sort of language I like. It's a bit different, a bit out of the ordinary. And her artwork installation, which is sitting over here as the light box, was displayed down at the Cunard building as part of the Wonderful Arts Festival. But what Andrea did over and above that was to reignite the concept that from small beginnings, big things can happen. So it took a visitor, albeit very artistic, to Liverpool to remind us that we had that capacity and that potential. From that, she donated most of the money from her commission to enable us to produce state-of-the-art leaflets and to raise awareness and build on our initial ideas to get individuals and organisations across the public, private and voluntary sector and across the communities of Liverpool to sign up to the campaign. So a year later, we were delighted with your predecessor, Gary Miller, who I think we managed to get him to sign the City of Sanctuary Pledge on several occasions. He also got spun round by the Greek community at the International Migrants Day event. I promise you we'll treat you beautifully and with respect and dignity, Erica, and I sincerely hope you will sign our pledge today. But what is the pledge about? The pledge is about 3 simple steps of encouraging individuals and organisations to take that step to sign a pledge that they want Liverpool to be a welcoming place, that you want to welcome everybody, especially asylum seekers, especially refugees, because of the plight that they have fled, whether it be rape, torture, genocide. There will be things and stories that you hear during the day that will hopefully help change hearts and minds. I could tell you about personal contacts of folk that have escaped genocide in Darfur, broken down because they couldn't be reunited with their loved ones and friends. But just 6 weeks ago, Yusuf, who I'm talking about, became a daddy for the first time, having eventually been reunited with his wife, and they are now happily building their new life in Liverpool and integrating into life in Liverpool. He's got a job, he's working hard. I've never seen anybody learn English as quickly in my life, and if there's any teachers out there for you, you'll know that usually it takes about a year to progress from one level to another. Yusuf Bakri managed to progress 3 levels in about a year. He was so keen to be part of life in Liverpool, and it's the hearts and minds story that go behind this. And we want Liverpool always been quirky and a bit different. Yeah, we don't just want people to focus in that it's only about refugees and asylum seekers. Our campaign is that everybody, whether a day tripper, a student, everybody in the community, refugees and asylum seekers, no matter where they're from, no matter what their sexuality, no matter what their background, that they can build their new life in Liverpool, and we need everybody in Liverpool to embrace that concept. I know we'll not reach everybody, but the more we can across the public and private and community sector, the better Liverpool will be. On your tables, there are copies of the pledges. You could sign those today if you wish, or if you want to take it away back to your organisations and get your senior managers or the head honchos or the big cheeses, whatever you want to call them, to have a think about it, because we want practical actions. We don't just want a signature on a page. We want you to think then about how you can train your staff to make them more aware about issues, and not just assuming that if somebody doesn't have the right paperwork that they're not eligible for a service, or that you greet them with a smile and recognise that if English isn't a first language, that you just take a little bit more time and use lots of hand signs and drawings. If that's the way to communicate, we can all do it, we can all make a difference, and we'll all be better people in a beautiful city of Liverpool for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll all want to sign up for that, and after today, hopefully also change our own lives in the direction we're going sometimes. It's always good to reflect on that as well as we go along. We're now going to show a video, so if you want to watch this. Just pause for a moment to take some of the power of that presentation in. It's very hard sometimes to watch something like that and not, we should get emotionally involved because it matters to all of us. But we were keen too, and Ewan's particularly keen, that we see some faces to tell some stories. So if you'll excuse me, I'll just reduce that. Do you want to say a word or two about this, Ewan? Or?
Can do. My name's Ewan. I work at Salmon. I was thinking, as we were putting this together, what an awful week I've had. The hard drives ate itself. Somebody who has to prune the laurel at the back of the building misunderstood and ripped the tree out. So 25 years worth of laurel was deposited in the car park. And to cap it all, Scotland are not at the World Cup. Again. And I thought, how off was my week? And then I thought, it's not so bad. Because I can fix my hard drive and recover the data. The tree will grow again. There's always 4 years from now. I can go home at night and I'll see my kids, and we'll have dinner with my wife, and we'll relax. And for 200 people a year that come to see us, that's not possible, because they don't have homes. And a lot of them will tell you they don't have lives, and they are treated worse than animals. And hopefully this plays to
Thank you.
see some of the feelings that they experience.
My name is Sophie. I am from Congo. I came to the UK in 2004. I escaped my country in 2004 because of political reasons. I sought asylum in the UK the same year. When I came here, I didn't know I was in London at home. And the people were speaking English, everybody was speaking English. And it was very hard for me to understand them because I just speak French. When I was back home, a man told me that he can save my life, that he can bring me somewhere. He didn't tell me that we're going to England, he just told me that he can save my life. So I decided to follow him. I found out later that we were in England. When we arrived in London, the man ran away.
We have no permission to invite our relatives or our close friends to come and stay with us on weekends, or we can't spend our overnight to any of our relatives as well. It's just like we drop from the sky and hang on the tree, so we are not on the land, we are just hanging on what's going on.
The worst thing about asylum system is the first thing when you get a refuge. And if you got a refuge, if you speak English and you can try to understand to follow the way where you can follow, like doing the evidence or like talk to people, go to see a social store, get some advice from people. But if you don't speak all that thing, it's very, very hard for you, because you can understand what to do and what evidence you needed.
The day of reporting is like, don't feel like to eat anything, don't feel like to feel scared all the time. And I have some issues, but I get scared. I have some issues because my intestine gets strings. And I've been to doctors, he says, don't take tension, because when it gets strings, it starts bleeding. And that it starts bleeding, and because when I get stressed, I feel like pain in my...
No, they don't know. If I told about like this system, they say, oh, they're surprised. They say, oh, my people, I'm ashamed. They are doing with you like that. Here is like this system. So they don't know. They were very surprised. And they say, oh, we are sorry, we are ashamed.
Okay, my name is Jurani Raposo. I'm a complex needs social worker at Asylum Link, Merseyside. I've been working in my role for almost about a year now. And my work involves working with destitute plus asylum seekers. These are clients who are living within the streets of Liverpool, clients who have got severe mental health issues, or some of the clients who may come through the door of Asylum Link who have got children, who are pregnant, who are living and affected with HIV, who have got nowhere else to go and live and get support. So my role is to assess their needs and to try to link them with me. So the dilemmas I have been coming across in my role as a complex needs social worker has been sometimes the misunderstanding of safeguarding issues from the Home Office part. Because sometimes you may come across clients who've got severe mental health issues who are hearing voices, and the treatment they get when they go to the reporting center is not all that fair. So sometimes I may challenge the Home Office. There have been situations where the Home Office have detained vulnerable clients. I've been involved as well in raising those issues at Home Office and sometimes challenging them through conducting either the Home Office Select Committee, conducting Theresa May's office as well, and also highlighting some of those issues in the press such as The Guardian as well, or conducting television channels such as Channel 4 News. This is the last resort you end up doing as a social worker for my part, because my priority is to make sure that the service users we are supporting who are vulnerable are protected. As a social worker, my values are to advocate for those who doesn't have a voice and to make sure that they are safeguarded and they are also protected by the society.
I wonder if you just want to pause for a minute or two and just have a quick chat with those around you about what you've just seen and try and take some of it in. It's very powerful stuff really, isn't it? So just take a minute or two to relax and talk a minute amongst yourselves. I'm delighted now to welcome, when we were planning this, the team and Sean and I in particular said we need an authentic Scouse voice. Me being a woolly back from St Helens, as it says on my slide. I'm delighted to welcome to speak to us now to reflect back on that and to share some of his insights. Is now newly elected councillor Frank Hunt, former regional secretary of the Unison North West, a member of Liverpool's Fairness Commission, and I think the chair of the Action Group on Poverty. And he's just been elected as a councillor for Chilwell, and I'm delighted to say a cabinet member for social inclusion, fairness and equality. Will you please welcome Frank?
Thanks everyone, and before the start I just wanted to say something about Erica Kemp. I think I was delighted to see Erica Kemp, our Lord Mayor, here, and I was at the ceremony on Wednesday at an investiture, or whatever it's called. I think it's an investiture of the Lord Mayor. And I only heard her speak twice as the Lord Mayor, and I was also delighted that on both occasions she quoted from a poem. So isn't it good to have a Lord Mayor of Liverpool who understands poetry and is going to talk poetry every time she speaks at an event? That really pleased me, I have to say. I want to thank John for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I am proud to be a son of Liverpool. I was born here, I've lived here all my life. of Welsh, Spanish and of course Irish heritage. And although I've lived here all my life, and my children grow up here, my grandchildren are growing up here. When I was a full-time trade union official, I did travel extensively and into various parts of the world, including Zimbabwe. I was a particularly difficult time. Namibia, Palestine, and more recently Romania, and many places in Western Europe, of course. And of course I made that trip up and down on Virgin to London thousands and thousands of times, because as we all know, every decision that affects Liverpool is taken in London. I want to start by saying something about the Liverpool Fairness Commission. The Commission was set up in 2011 and reported to our elected Mayor Joe Anderson late in 2012. The national context of that commission when it was set up was austerity, cuts to local government spending, the recession, and the local context was the acute pressure on the City Council, on its budget, and on the need to ensure a fair allocation of the monies that the city did have available to make sure they were delivered to our citizens in the most equitable way. It was a particularly cold climate, and not a lot has changed since then. Although I see there are routes of recovery being reported every time I turn the news on, maybe in London. The aim was to see, when the Fairness Commission was set up, the aim was to see if we could build a framework for a fairer city, a city that would be positive about reducing inequality, about expanding opportunity for our citizens. And the Commission was independent of the Council, which Joe Anderson thought was really important. It had a very diverse membership. No councillors were on the Commission at all. And it was chaired by Claire Dove, the Chief Executive of Blackburn House, and a long-time champion of excluded groups in this city. So what did we do? Well, we listened. We listened to the people of Liverpool. We took evidence from businesses, from politicians, from community groups, from service providers, very importantly from young people. We met with the Schools of Parliament on a number of occasions. And we learned from other commissions, and we looked outwardly. We listened to the outside world, and we listened to some policy makers, because there's always plenty of policy makers around who can tell you how to develop a fairness agenda. We considered the evidence that we'd gathered, and we really tried to identify the big issues. The report's available online. There are even some paper copies left, and I think it does define the issues that face a city like Liverpool. We agreed some priorities and made some recommendations, and I won't go through all the recommendations today, but it was clear to our work as a commission that fairness matters in this city. When you talk to people in this city, they understand what fairness means. Even in really difficult economic times, there was an understanding, a feel for fairness, a feel for equality in this city. And for many Liverpool citizens we spoke to and listened to, they felt that fairness was ingrained in the city's culture and the city's identity. And I always remember something Margaret Simey said, a great Liverpool citizen. And she said what she liked about Liverpool was Liverpool people didn't see themselves as English. They saw themselves as Liverpool people and wanting to share what they had with each other and be Liverpool people. We concluded that the will of those people could help us, jointly as a council, as a city, define Liverpool as a city of fairness. But what is fairness? Everyone spoke to had a different definition of what fairness was, and in putting the report together, we did struggle, we did agonise over a definition of fairness. What is fairness in a city like Liverpool? And we decided that you couldn't come up with a better definition than the one given to us by children from our Schools Parliament. They come together specifically to discuss that issue. They sat together for a morning and they wrote down what they saw, what they thought fairness was. So I'm going to read it to you. And their definition of fairness is so straightforward, it's so simple that I use it all the time. And it was put together by Emily, Paris, Ennis, Emmanuel, 10-year-old pupils from New Park Primary School in Kensington. An area that suffers from deprivation in our city. And if you live in Kensington, in Liverpool, you're going to live on average 10 years less than you live in Kensington in London. So this defines Kensington. Kensington is an area that struggles. But listen to what these kids said. These were Liverpool kids. Fairness is when you are treated properly, equally, and when you are given a chance. When you are treated the same as everyone else, regardless of who you are and where you are from. Now, you know, come on, I could not define fairness better than that. So 4 10-year-old kids in Liverpool have given me my definition of fairness, and I ain't going to change. That will be my definition of fairness in this city. So our recommendations to the Mayor included a number of things. We called for a living wage, which we thought was a very important thing to call for. Not easy to deliver in a city like Liverpool. Not easy to deliver when local authorities now don't provide all the services themselves, when local authorities contract for services and buy services in from other organisations. So in some ways it's easy to say Liverpool City Council will be a living wage employer, partly because we don't employ the numbers of people we used to employ many year ago. So it's not going to be an easy call to bring in a living wage in Liverpool, but we think it's absolutely essential, and our Mayor is committed to that promise of a living wage. We also said something needs to be done about the obscenity of 0 hours contracts, of casual employment that is rampant in the city. Because we believe that, you know, the right to a living wage, the right to a proper employment is very important to our people. We called for sustainable targets for new business creation and more support for people and communities who want to create new businesses, both traditional new businesses and social enterprises. We call for progressive procurement by all public bodies, not just by the City Council, but by health authorities, anyone in the public sector. We want them to have progressive procurement policies so that when they buy in services, they understand that it's not just about the lowest price, it's not just about tendering, it's about real value in delivery of services. And we called, a lot of our work was around young people in this city. And we call for improved links between education and the business sector to offer our young people apprenticeships, high quality work placements, to give our young people hope. And that was a word that came through a lot in our work, hope. People want hope, and we want to give them hope. The Mayor embraced the recommendations, and he gave a commitment to the idea of an annual fairness audit. Now, since the Commission reported, we have had one annual fairness audit. A one-day session, perhaps half-a-day session would be enough to look at the recommendations and see whether those recommendations have been delivered, whether there are adjustments to be made to the recommendations, where we're failing as a Commission. So we don't sit every week as a Commission, but we meet again once a year, we talk to each other. At that annual fairness audit, and the next one will be in July, I think it's going to be in the Cathedral, we'll sit down again and say, you know, we didn't want this just to be a glossy report that sat on a shelf somewhere. If you do a report like this, if you spend time on it, if you put energy into it, you want to believe that there's going to be some outcomes and some outputs. So that annual fairness audit in July will look at what we've done, what we've achieved, what we haven't achieved. Joe's also embraced the idea of fairness in that he brought together the faith groups, and some of the people here today were with us in July in the Town Hall last year when we came together for the Liverpool Hope Conference. And the idea behind that was to see how best to engage with the third sector, to see how best to engage with voluntary sector groups in the delivery of council services, in the embracing of our people. He set up a social value task group to see how the city could put social value into the heart of all purchasing and procurement procedures, so that we gave young, embryonic social value organisations the chance to win work, the chance to deliver services in the city. And he also set up the Promoting Fairness and Tackling Poverty Action Group, which he asked me to chair in January 2013. Now, when he rang me in January 13, I thought, yeah, okay, Joe, half a day a month or something like that. Dream on. You know, this became an important part of my life. It's an action group that it's not a talking shop. It's a group that meets about every 6 weeks with the idea of looking at what we can do to mitigate the impact of austerity and, perhaps more importantly at the moment, the impact of welfare reform on our citizens, on our most vulnerable citizens. The group's made up of some councillors, senior officers from the council, some partner organisations like the Liverpool Clinical Commissioning Group, because we've clearly seen the link between poverty and health or ill health. We had a small allocation of cash from Joe Anderson And we've been working with schools, with housing associations, with the third sector, with faith groups, with the TUC, with the food banks, and that's where John and I have come into contact quite a lot, with the credit unions, with the health sector, and of course the Department of Works and Pensions. Department of Works and Pensions and Job Centre Plus. Now there's a title, isn't it? Job Centre Plus. I would like to believe, and I am an optimist, that Job Centre Plus was about Job Centre Plus, bringing jobs into the city and providing employment opportunities for our citizens. What it's developed into under this coalition government, and I'm not just making this as a political point, what it's developed into is a control mechanism for benefits. And we've had long and hard discussions with the Department of Works and Pensions that we don't believe that the purpose of the Department of Works and Pensions and Job Centre Plus is to police the benefits system. We believe it's there to encourage employment opportunities, to give our people in the city a chance. They have been difficult and robust discussions, and they will continue. We've also reached out to other cities like Birmingham and Newcastle who are facing similar problems to ourselves in the core cities group. And we've linked up with something I was just talking to a colleague about earlier, the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Poverty. And that's been quite a useful exercise, because that is a group of MPs who have a genuine interest in poverty and the impact of poverty on the cities, on the country really. It's chaired by Kate Green, an MP from Manchester. There are politicians from all political parties on it, members of the House of Lords, and there's a genuine, my opinion is there's a genuine interest in poverty and what it's doing to our citizens, what it's doing to people in this country. So, it's another trip to London, but it's worth connecting with those people who have a genuine interest in tackling poverty. As John said, in May, I was elected to Liverpool City Council for Chilwell Ward, one of the oldest parts of Liverpool. I've lived in Chilwell for 25 years now, but I didn't know until a couple of weeks ago that Chilwell was mentioned in the Domesday Book in 1086. And the description in the Domesday Book is, there is one lonely priest managing a large piece of land for the benefit of the local poor. Now, not a lot's changed there then, has it, in 1,000 years? So I'm proud to represent Chilwell, proud to represent the city really. It's a real privilege to be a city councillor. And since my election, John referred to it again, the mayor's asked me to be a cabinet member. He's got a 9-member cabinet. As an elected mayor, the mayor selects his cabinet. There's no elections to that cabinet. He appoints his cabinet. And he's asked me to be the cabinet member for social inclusion, fairness and equalities. Now, that's a heck of a title, and I'm not really sure, and I've spoken to Joe about it, I'm not really sure what we mean by it yet, but we'll get there. But there's a clear remit within that to push forward the agenda on poverty in the city, about tackling poverty, about creating opportunities. So it's a work in progress, shall we say, and I'll get on with it as best I can. It's an enormous brief, and today, if I talk to people later than that, I'm not going to make any promises. We can't make any promises about delivery or about what that cabinet position might mean. Simply to say that our mayor is dedicated to making this city a better place for all of its citizens. I know Joe, I've known Joe a long time, and that is a real commitment to all its citizens. And I'll use one quote today, and it's a quote that Joe Anderson makes on many occasions. He's probably making it this morning at the International Festival of Business. Liverpool's greatest days are still ahead of us. Liverpool's greatest days are still ahead of us. As a Scouser, I believe that. As a son of this city, I believe it. I want to believe it. I want to believe it for my kids, I want to believe it for my grandkids, because I've lived through some tough times in this city, very tough times. And, we've got to move forward, and I think we've got a real opportunity to move forward at the moment, an opportunity we can't waste. I mean, one man, one council, one local authority can't make that happen without the support of the people. And I was privileged to be a member of the Fairness Commission because it taught me about the people of my city. You live in the city, you grow up in the city, you think you know all about the city, but I learnt a lot on the Fairness Commission about the people of this city. My experience on the Fairness Commission and over the past 3 years has taught me some things about the people of the city. A city that's facing massive problems. We're going to lose £227 million a year due to the welfare reforms. £227 million a year is taken out of this city and everything it needs through the welfare reforms. And of the 379 local authorities in this country, we are the fourth biggest loser. Now tell me that ain't a political decision. The fourth biggest loser of 379 local authorities. That's a loss, on average, of £700 per annum per working age adult. You know, that's the kind of problem the city's facing. We've seen food bank use doubled in 12 months and still rising. And you know, I've talked to the food bank managers, some of whom are here today. There are people in work presenting themselves to food banks. What kind of a city is this? What kind of a country is it where working people are having to go to food banks? Working families are suffering poverty. More than 50% of the kids who are defined as in poverty in this country are living in families where at least one adult works. I find that shameful and a disgrace. But despite these problems, I think there's hope in this city. And hope's a word used a lot in this city. Hope Street links the two cathedrals. You know, the food bank down there is called the Hope Food Bank. Joe has a conference of hope for the city. Hope, very important in this city. Because there is hope, and I think we're making real progress on regeneration, on growth, and looking for the future for our young people, because they've got to stay here. Too many of our young people leave this city. There's got to be something for them to stay, and that something is hope. Ill-defined maybe, not perhaps written down on pages and pages of PowerPoints, but they need to have hope. And for me, all this work is about people, the people of my city. And I said to the all-party parliamentary group that, you know, they all think Liverpool's different. We think it's different. It is different. But they think it's different in a different way than we think it's different. You know, we know it's a city of hope. We know it's a great city. And through the Fairness Commission, I found that our citizens often know things that professionals don't know. They're not always prepared to listen to professionals, to take things as given. Our citizens are willing to invest time and resources to improve the quality of life for others in their neighbourhood. Steve from Local Solutions will tell you about the people who spend their time with carers, who spend their time talking to people who are struggling with family caring responsibilities. The people at the food bank will tell you about their volunteers who come in and give their time freely because they're prepared to invest that time and resources in the people of the city. Our citizens have got many talents. They've got diverse capabilities they're willing to share. And perhaps more importantly, our citizens are prepared to engage with each other. Engage with each other. Get a bus into town from Old Swan and see how people engage with each other. It doesn't happen in other places. By engaging with its people, all of its people, the City Council can help transform the perception of people as passive recipients of services. Many local authorities simply see citizens as passive recipients of services. I think we can turn Liverpool into a place where we are equal partners, both in designing services for all our citizens, designing those services and then delivering those services. And perhaps we are one city that can do that. Joe Anderson, our mayor, is determined to harness the energy in the city, this vibrant city, and work together to improve the quality of life for all our citizens. As someone said earlier, for the people who live here and have lived here many years, for visitors to the city, for asylum seekers, for refugees, for students, for tourists, anyone. We've got to improve the quality of life for all our citizens, and only then will we be proud of this city again. I feel privileged to play a small part in that mission, and I hope I've come across today with some of my love for this great city. Thank you.
Well, as an authentic Liverpool promise and challenge, it's great to see so many people who are working in the field, and our Twitter feed's coming up with some interesting feelings coming from the room, and you know, the passion that people have in this work. One of the things that struck me, both during Frank's talk and the video and the other parts of this morning, it's like the Hope Conference, which we helped to facilitate last year. It's actually people who are passionate getting together with people, how can I put this? I have to be very careful how I say this, who are highly organised and structured. I'm Mr. Visionary, and without Sean, I have to say, and the working group keeping me in order, this conference would never have happened. We need the passion, we need the detail to get this work right, and it's great to know that Frank and the politicians in Liverpool are committed to a multicultural home for people to enjoy, and I think that's what today's all about. I'm not sure if Louise is here yet, Louise Elman. No, she's not. So can I just remind you that you were given when you came in a quiz sheet to have a look at. We're going to be talking about that over lunch. If you'd like to take some time to chat to one another, you can compare. There is some coffee available if you want to get some, and I will have a comfort break. But just share with the others what you've got so far, or do your quiz, and we'll take a bit of a breather. Thank you. Following on from Frank's thoughts on and promises for the city and the future, I love Liverpool's best days are still to come, and we hope that the people we're focusing on today will also feel like that as well. I'm going to ask you now to think a bit worldwide. We've got 3 stories, at least I hope we have, I think we have, from around the world. We thought it was really important that part of today's programme, a lot of today's programme, was actually hearing the truth. It's very easy to jump to conclusions about all these people who are coming to our country that have been the focus of some political campaigns lately, which seem to have taken off far too quickly without thought. It's very important today that we tell the truth and people hear people's perspectives on what's happened to them in their own countries, on the journey, and when they arrive here. So, will you please welcome first Al-Hagi Al-Fati, who's a refugee. He's going to share with us his journey and so far from the Gambia. Will you welcome Al-Hagi?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Anyway, my name is Al-Hagi Al-Fati, and also I am from Gambia, one of the last British colonies in West Africa. I was born and raised in Gambia. I did most of my education in Gambia as well. Then from there, the former president of Gambia was a grandparent to me. So after the 1994 military takeover, then our family started having a lot of problems with the current government in Gambia. So by then I became working with many international organizations like Coalition of Human Rights Defenders in Gambia, because by that time the human rights situation which was going in Gambia, there has been many tortures, arbitrary arrests, and people have been put in prison or incommunicado. They cannot get access to doctors, to lawyers. Even the Red Cross could not, visit most of the prisoners in Gambia. So then I myself have become a victim of all those things with my family. Then finally, in 2012, when the Gambia government have executed 9 people in one day, including a female. So then we stood up against the government, and that's the time that I fled the country and came to England with the help of by then the British High Commission in Gambia. So when I arrived in London, I stayed there for 2 days. Then from there, then I came to, they dispatched me to Liverpool. when I first came to Liverpool, being very sick, I don't know anywhere, they took me to a place called Green Bank. Thank God that I met one of the circus staff there, whom today I saw here, Rob Damel. He's the first person who took me to the doctors, to the dentist with a lady called Prescott. And they have been supporting me because I know if I told in those days I don't find people like them, then by now I have been maybe been in another condition. So they have been taking me to the hospitals, running around. So through my journey from Gambia, it was very difficult for me because I have passed through many countries like Senegal, coming through, sea up to certain countries, and then before I could reach England. So when I came here also with my asylum process with the Home Office, definitely they know that I got a very genuine case, and then they have in fact contacted the Gambia and find out that I have been, I fled, I was on a trial in Gambia which I fled and then came here. But despite all those things, I have been having difficulties with them. Sometimes even if I'm going to sign at the Home Office building, I might think of, if I think of, maybe these people could take me today and take me back to Gambia, because on the ACA, what they would, anytime you could be removed from this country. And that thing was a very stressing thing. When every morning, if you're going to the Home Office to sign, if you look at those things, sometimes you feel like, I should run away then and go and hide somewhere else. So if you are not strong enough, you will not be able to go and sign. So since I came, I involved with many organizations, like, before I involved with those organizations, in fact, the first place I know in Liverpool was the Asylum Link. So when I start going there, because being at Green Bank, in your house you don't have any television, you don't have access to internet, you wouldn't even know what is going on around the world. So the only place that you could go and socialize is the Asylum Link. So when I went to the Asylum Link, the first day I went there, since then I started meeting other refugees and asylum seekers and other organizations working with asylum seekers and refugees in Liverpool here. So then we came up and then formed a group called LARA with the help of Asylum Link, Mercy Care, Merseyside Refugee Social Network, Inclusive Matters, and many other organizations, the British Red Cross, and all those things came together to support us to form an organization which we call Liverpool Asylum Seekers and Refugee Association. So that, we also, asylum seekers and refugees could come together and try to help each other, to support each other, to give peer support to each other, and also to show other asylum seekers and refugees who doesn't know the services that they got in Liverpool here, the services that are provided for them and which they don't know. So anytime also we see new arrivals who came, we try to show them places like Asylum Link, the Red Cross, and other organizations. Because we know that most of the people who come to Liverpool as an asylum seeker, many of them cannot speak English. So all these things has been, a very difficult thing for most of the asylum seekers here in Liverpool. So, for that being the case, so we saw them Asylum Link so that they could also try to learn a little bit of English so that they could communicate with people. Because sometimes it's very difficult to be in foreign land. If you cannot speak the language with those people or you cannot communicate with those people, sometimes it's very difficult. So because we have been having other cases that have been reported to us, like racism, hate crimes, and all those things. So when we saw all those things, we organized some sessions with the police, with the SARCO, and other organizations so that we could enlighten people also when they come across such difficulties, the places that they should call and report their cases. So I also would once again like to thank all the members of all the parliamentarians in Liverpool here, and all the councillors, the police, and SARCO, and all the organizations working with asylum seekers and refugees in Liverpool. Definitely, the 4 members of parliament in Liverpool here highly well, and the Liverpool councillors definitely highly welcome the asylum seekers and refugees. They are not those politicians who would send vans in the streets of England telling we asylum seekers and refugees to go home. So I once thank you again for the good work that you have been doing for asylum seekers and refugees in Liverpool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I now welcome from a different part of the world, Iftikhar Khan, who's from Pakistan. Iftikhar.
Thank you very much. As you know, my name is Iftikhar Khan. Basically, I'm from Pakistan, having a legal background. I'm a Supreme Court lawyer from Pakistan. I worked on constitutional matters also. I belong to one of the sect in Islam, that is Ahmadiyya Muslim. We have a motto, love for all and hatred for none. And this community was formed in the remote village of India in 1889. The founder of our community, he said, I'm the reformer of this time. And he single-handedly wrote 85 books in 3 different languages. Later, after the migration, after the independence of Pakistan in 1947, our community moved to Pakistan, and there we established our organization. But unfortunately, the Islamic State of Pakistan, despite of the fact that we have the same belief, same rituals and same practicing style of Muslims, the prayer style, we've been declared constitutionally non-Muslims in 1974. But it was not been stopped there. Later what happened, that in 1984, one of the dictator, Ziaul-Haq, he introduced new laws in the Constitution of Pakistan, whereby we were not being allowed to practice, to say greetings even, to practice our religion within mosque also. And that was a very shameful act done by the dictator. And due to that, in Pakistan, almost 85% of people around there are illiterate. And taking advantage of that, the theocracy, the mullahs of that land, they take an advantage of that and they start inculcating in the minds of the common and laymen, the general public of Pakistan, that we are the people who must not live on this earth. And this type of hatred started, developed, and the climax we saw in 2010, when in the two mosques of Ahmadiyya, 2 mosques in Lahore, innocent worshippers were being mercilessly massacred. Almost 100 people were killed during the time of their prayer. And this is the reason behind it, that ultimately I have a long-standing practice, almost 21 years in my law field. I was having a very established law firm, very smoothly running my affairs with my family and having a very good status. Even I got an opportunity of holidays with my children to different parts of the world also. But because of Ahmadi, I was being persecuted. And to share with you, it's not to something like to make you something emotional, but I was kidnapped in my own country. For 19 days, blindfolded, and every day was the day which always keep in my mind that they're going to kill me. And honestly speaking, of course my faith is there, and many of you also have that faith. There is one God who loves 100 times more than a mother to any of his individual. During that time, when I was kidnapped, and later when I was released, my elder sister told me that my mother didn't saw the bed and keep on praying for you. And honestly, that was the reason that I myself saw during that time, that traumatic situation, that God heard the prayers, and I'm with you today, and I was got released. And then, because of that threat that I have to do the cases of theirs and then to do some type of press conferences in their favor or something like that, within a couple of days after my release, these were the conditions. And then I don't have any other option but to leave my hometown. I'm telling you very honestly, it is very difficult to leave your hometown, your people around your society, the family members. It's very difficult. But no other option, as I earlier told you. That's why I left Pakistan. I came in England and I applied asylum. And during that time, I'm lucky enough to, it is my faith that you cannot be thankful to God if you will not be thankful to those who are good with you. So I offered my services as a volunteer everywhere. And during my first 2 years, in 2010, I came here and properly I got my status in 2012. But all that period, I continuously engaged myself volunteering with different organizations, and I'm lucky to see Julie is in front of me with the Refugee Action, Russia. I've done lots with some community group programs with Russia also. Bill is here, who's advisory group in the police. And then I was being elected as a trustee of the Toxic Town Hall also. And still, I love to offer my services everywhere, because no regret and no complaint. But we are here to think, and you all people are very lucky that you are thinking about humanity. And indeed, humanity is first. I always say, I always share with others that religion came after that, after the human beings. So, the work you are doing, it tells me, it reminds me that indeed, action speaks louder than words. And in this hall, I saw every face, each and every one of you are very much committed with the people around in the society who are destitute or vulnerable. I don't like to use this word, destitute or vulnerable. They are a human being and they are facing problems. And of course, there are a lot of misconceptions about immigrants. But I tell you, this is a blessed country. You are welcoming the people around the world. Don't take it light. Just take it very seriously. That how lucky you are that millions of people like to come here. And that much I know, that most of the people around here take it for granted. But I tell you, coming over here is very difficult. Very few out of that big proportion of the world who are facing, lot of problem, persecution, hatred and killing and genocide and massacre around here. You have just a little glimpse that you saw. And you can understand what's going on all over the world. And if some people comes in this country or anywhere where you have the peace and security all over, I love to say it from the bottom of my heart. Please take this, a great blessing of God. That we are all the creation of the Creator. And of course there are boundaries. And I must not hesitate in saying this, that I'm born in that part of the world where there is corruption, illiteracy, poverty. But what to do? They are the people taking advantage of that, and they are misusing their powers and all going on in the eastern part of the world. But you are lucky to have a very civilized system around here. And if some people around here comes to you, because realize it, how difficult it is, language barrier, culture barrier, religious barrier, lot of things, the hurdles around them, and they left their whole family over there. no one to speak, no one to talk. If you people not accommodate with them with welcoming and loving style, I mean, that will be, I must say, that will be very unfortunate. I have a number of things to say, and because of constraint of time, I know this program. I'm very honored to be with the beautiful people in this hall, and I love to share a number of things. But my only thing at the end I would like to say that please, this message must not be stopped in this hall. It has to be spread all over the world, that in order to make this world a better place to live. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Iftikhar. Different messages, very important though, and it's really good to hear how some of the organisations who are represented here today have been a very important part in helping people. I want to move on now to Mamadou, who's going to come up and share with us from Côte d'Ivoire. My French is getting better all the time. Thank you very much. Mamadou.
Sorry, John, can I just interject for a second? Just to say, there's several people from the Home Office here today, which are very welcome to come and hear what we say. Some of these guys are asylum seekers, they are going through the system, and it's very, very difficult for them to come forward and speak. The last time asylum seekers put themselves forward was to hand in a petition to the Alliance House. And unfortunately, the main signatories at the top of that petition then disappeared. They were moved to different parts of the country, their Section 4 housing was shifted and they were moved around. And I would just like to point out to you that the people who have come to speak today, who are the asylum seekers, are in an extremely vulnerable position. It's been very difficult for them to come here and say these things, and I would like to bear that in mind when you're finishing the event today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mamadou Silla. I am from Ivory Coast. English people say Ivory Coast, but it's Côte d'Ivoire in French. Before I will say something, I would like to say big thanks for some people here. Because when you see me stand up here to talk, they give me big support and they help me a lot. This is the first person, is Sister Catherine. Thank you so much. The second person, Yohan, our manager from Asylum Link. And Sarah Job, near to Jorani there. And Pete as well, because they support us a lot. I am asylum seeker, that's the first thing. I am destitute, second one. I am homeless from 2010 until now. 4 years is not 4 days, it's not 4 months. It's some couple 1 month. From that day until now, I don't have any support. I don't know where to go. I don't have anything I will feed myself. Is asylum support me to give me food, clothes, some place to sleep. Big thanks for that. When I come to UK in 2009, I claim asylum. When I claim asylum, after 3 months, my asylum case been refused. Home Office take me to detention center. I don't speak English. I don't know anyone in this country. I don't know where to go. This is very hard life I have. My asylum case been refused. I was in detention for 3 months, and after when I raised it from there, I don't know where to go. Come back to Liverpool, to Asylum Link. Get food there, sleep there, being homeless, sleeping outside, bus stop. This is very hard moment I have. But they give me everything and they support me and they support a lot of people I know there as well. So I left my country. There was a big fight there. Political problem, religion, tribal. Because people say we are from Jura, we are not from Ivory Coast, we are from another place. And I'm Muslim. The Christian are killing Muslim, Muslim are killing Christian, but they don't know what they are fighting for. And I left there, left my parents. My dad passed away when I was there. So I would say something, it's very hard to be asylum seeker. I never ever heard something hard like if you're asylum seeker. Anywhere you go, you feel like you are not safe. Because what happened to you, you see. And the place you are, any place you go there, you're feeling like that and you don't feel safe. But it's a very hard thing. Like every week, you have to go to sign home office. When you go to say, you have to think what will happen to you there. If you go back to your country, they will kill you. You are here, and now we don't get any money, no house, no food, but we prefer that to die. If you will die, we want to die in a good way, not like someone take her to kill us. This is a very big thing I will say to you. So when I come to England, I don't even speak English. Even come here, I don't know what that means. I said big things for asylum need. And I'm so glad to stand up for English people to speak English and they can understand me. That's very good thing. I'll never ever forget about that. And I come volunteer in Asylum Link 5 years now. I'm working there like volunteer work. I see a lot of things happen. People come when I'm in the reception to tell me the story, they want to help. When I listen, I forget mine because I see how hard it is. Some women with the kid, it's hard. People are doing that decision to make life hard for people. I think they don't know. If they know, no one will do that to human being like you. No one will leave member of the family to make him suffer. But I think they don't know. If they know, they will never ever do that. There's a lot of good way to treat people, but sport accommodation, to stop accommodation from women have babies 6 months. They are not allowed to work. They are not allowed to get money where you will get no way. How will he survive himself and feed the kids? It's very, 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 very hard. We have to do something for that. No. I can say something. I am man and I'm 20. When I come to this country, I was 25 years old. Now I'm 31. I can try to do something to do, but imagine with women with 3 kids, 1 kid, how the person will survive. Sometimes if I listen to that, I forget mine, and I don't know what I can do because myself I don't have anything. What I will do? People are here, you think about that, how it's hard. There's some women, some men, people are sick and detention center. They're innocent. They run away from their country to find somewhere to self, to get safe. But they're in prison. That's not good at all. Everybody has seen what happened to Syria, Sudan, Central Africa, another country in the world. The innocent are dying for nothing because they are run away from their country. They want some place to get safe. But some people, when they are here, their life come more hard for them. I feel a couple times to kill myself, but good people support me. They give me everything. You'll be okay. You'll be okay one day. I would like to be like everyone, to have family, to enjoy with them, no stress, but I can't. I am not allowed to work. I am not allowed to travel. I am not allowed to marry. What I can do? Just sit down, just thinking, and after I get mental problem, or like, I can do nothing. So this is very hard condition we asylum seeker are living. We want to be like everyone, to be happy, and you wake up morning, try to think what you want to do, go to work, come back, look at after the family. But asylum seeker, the destitute people, when they wake up morning, the first thing they think, how to get food to eat. The second one, if I got home office, they will arrest me or not. And this is very bad. We don't even think about work. We don't even think go out. We don't even think go to meet friends. No, we should think about to get food. When you go to Asylum Link, every morning you see 100 people are waiting in the queue for the food. Breakfast, lunch. In the weekend when we are closed, we don't know where to go. It's hard. It's very, very hard. It's very hard. The people are taking that decision to make life hard for us. They have to think about it, to do something for her. And for most of like women, it's very hard for them. The children, they're crying. They don't have support. They don't have any partner close to you. They have just alone with the kid. It's hard. It's hard. It's very hard. You know, there are a lot of things to say. Because of time, you can't say a lot of them, but I say the things are important for us to say. Oh, so I will say big thanks. Thank you for you people are sitting today to listen to Asylum Seeker. You are doing very, 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 very good thing. Because someone have problem, he left his country, left his house, he left his family, he left everything to come here, and you are sitting to listen to us, to try to sort out what to do for us. That's a very big thing. It's just God will bless you for that. You know. And say thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad today in front of you to speak English. English is not my language. My language is Jura. But as we've been colonized by French, I can speak French. But today, stand up for English people, educate people, diplomat people to speak. And I'll say big thank you to you and brought me here to speak. And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't quite know how to follow that, except to say this isn't being done in my name, and I'm sorry. That's all I can say, really. Sorry about that. I think we need a minute or two just to collect ourselves and just have a chat to the people around you and try and get out your system so I can get out some help. Thank you. Delighted to be able to welcome, to speak to us now, Louise Ellman MP. I'm even more pleased to say that, as as well as a local councillor in West Lancashire, where I live. She was leader of Lancashire County Council, God's own county council. St Helens was in Lancashire when I was a lad anyway. Louise has been a member, elected member for Riverside constituency since 1997. At Westminster, she's a member of the Commons Liaison Committee, Vice Chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group Against Trafficking, and has chaired the Transport Committee for the past 6 years. And the best of British with that. Locally, she's Honorary Vice President of, let me get that right, Honorary Vice President of the Royal Court Liverpool Trust and a board member of the Comedy Trust and the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts. So will you give a warm welcome to Louise Ellman. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I do think that this is a very special conference, and I look at the headings about the conference and I see the word safe haven and I see the word sanctuary, and I really do feel that today's event does provide a safe haven and indeed a sanctuary where we can talk about the importance of supporting refugees as part of enabling people to contribute to society, and in recognising everybody's humanity and the importance and strength of diversity to the whole of our society. As a Member of Parliament, I get involved in very many issues, but there is one underlying theme in all of the things I'm involved in. And that is that what I'm about is about trying to improve people's lives and to make things better. And I see that in some of the areas I work in some areas it's more difficult than others to see that result. But certainly in terms of the work that I try to do in supporting refugees, I think there is nothing more important than seeing a result, seeing somebody's life improve, somebody given a chance to live because of the efforts that are made around them. Well, why am I so keen on supporting refugees? A number of reasons. First, I truly believe in diversity. I think it is a good thing to have a society made up of people who come from different places with different ideas and the different cultures, all bringing their own individuality to the United Kingdom. Secondly, there are humanitarian issues. People in need, people crying out, and I think we've just heard about some of those needs and some of the humanity involved on the contributions we've just heard. But thirdly, there is a personal commitment as well. My grandparents all came to this country as immigrants. They were Jews fleeing anti-Semitic persecution in Russia, in Lithuania, and on the German-Polish border. They came to this country in the 1880s and then around 1905 and settled here. But they came here as refugees. And the very first legislation to try to stop refugees coming into this country was enacted in 1905. It was called the Aliens Act, and that was enacted to stop the growing number of Jews, particularly from Russia and Eastern Europe, being able to get into this country. And I just want to read you a little bit from an editorial in the Manchester Evening News in 1905. Now, here's something I'm sure I don't know if the Liverpool Echo was here then, I'm sure it wouldn't have touched anything like this, but the headline of the editorial was the unwanted, the unfed, and the unemployed. And the editorial said that it urged that, and I'm quoting from the editorial, that the dirty, destitute, diseased, verminous, and criminal foreigners who dumps himself in the soil and rates simultaneously should be forbidden to land. So that was an editorial in the newspaper, and that was at the same time as the very first legislation to stop refugees coming was enacted. Well, do you feel any echoes of that now? Perhaps slightly different language and sentiment, not really very different. Well, it was wrong then, and it's wrong now. As a Member of Parliament, trying to assist people seeking refugee status, there are limits to what can be done, but there is a wide area where a lot can be done. And I can't change the law. I might try to change it when I'm sitting in Parliament, and I may or may not be successful in that, but I can't change the law as it stands. But what I can do, and what I try to do, is to make sure that people have a fair hearing, that the people who are taking decisions about who is allowed to stay with them, according to the rules, do have up-to-date, correct information, that people are not ignored, and that sometimes when there is new information, that new information is registered at the time the decisions are taken. Now those things might sound very simple, but as every individual seeking refugee status will tell us, it is often not simple at all, and at all of those stages things can go wrong. And as a Member of Parliament, I am in a position first to make sure that people do not get messed around and ignored, their applications forgotten, treated very brusquely, and I can do all in my power to ensure that decision makers have the correct information and the up-to-date information, and that is very, very important too. And I just want to mention very briefly a number of situations where I have been able to help, and that's really so that you can see the ways in which public authorities and the voluntary sector can do something to help people. I thought some time ago now, it actually was a 5-year battle, but as each time went on, I became more and more determined to remove people who I considered to be unscrupulous, and who in the end ministers agreed were, from being in charge of accommodation for asylum seekers, where people seeking asylum were treated in an appalling manner in terms of the conditions they had, and also suffered threats that if they complained, they would be sent back to the countries they came from. I'm referring to the Inn on what was then called the Inn on the Park in Everton. I fought a 5-year campaign to get that changed, and in the end it was changed. So I say from that, if people are not providing accommodation and services as they are required to, they can be removed. And I think from achieving that at that time, I think a loud message went out across Merseyside and indeed elsewhere, that unscrupulous accommodation providers would simply not get away with it, and indeed they won't. Family A, you'll forgive me if I disguise slightly the people I'm talking about, because I wouldn't want to name any individual. Family who came from the Indian subcontinent came here after facing persecution, religious-based persecution. Husband, the family died very suddenly, leaving his wife, widow and children. And they were told that they would have to go back to the country of origin. They were abroad. We won that case, and I say we because they had terrific support from the local community and the school that the children attended. And between us, we got the information, we fought the case with the Home Office, and we won. And I learned from that there is a great difference between the rhetoric, and it's a rhetoric we get all the time, immigrants shouldn't come here, send them back, and all the rest of it. That's not always the same as what actual people feel when they look at people as individual human beings and know something about their situation. And it was only looking at people as individual human beings that then evoked the response from the community that helped to get that family to stay. A family B from Kosovo came here. they were waiting for their case to be heard. It was being dismissed. I was trying to help them. And then I got a call. A van with officials had not banged on their door in the very early hours of one morning, told them all they must gather their belongings in a bin bag, as it was, they told me. I think they had 2 plastic bags, get in the van outside, and they were taken to a detention centre where they were being prepared to be sent back. Well, as soon as I found out about this, I took action which immediately halted that deportation. That was because I was able, with the assistance of others, to get hold of some new information that hadn't yet been considered, and because I could make representations directly to the appropriate authorities with new information, something different, that halted the deportation. Now, it wouldn't have stopped it forever, but we gathered more information at that time, and I went to see the immigration minister concerned, who was Beverly Hughes at that time. I don't know if anybody remembers her then. And I went to her with the information. Again, great community and church support in this case. And that family not only came back from the detention centre, they gained their permission to stay. I still hear from some of them, all now very successful people in their own right, good British citizens, leading very good and very positive lives here, but you know, on the way to be deported in a van with 2 sats. That's not right, is it? And the final case I want to mention is something which actually is still unresolved, and that is somebody who has been trafficked, who was told that she's no right to stay here, was sent to a detention centre, again to be deported. And because this person's friends came to see me and made their own representations, I was able again to do something which led to this lady being released from the detention centre. This case is ongoing and her case is still being fought, and there is clear evidence that she was trafficked, which is a subject of great concern to everybody. But again, it was only possible to get that to where it is because other people were involved, or people who were supporting the people who were vulnerable, and I was unable to use my position as a Member of Parliament, with the influence that I have, the contacts I can have, to try and do something about it. And I'm still on that case, it is not yet resolved. And this is just a small number of the sorts of situations I've tried to deal with and tried to help. And I try to show this how I can do something. I can't always do it, but there are situations where I can. But in all of these situations, it needs other people and organisations to be involved and to care. And I just would like to really say that although a lot of organisations help, I do think that Asylum Link are exemplary in their support, in their practical support for vulnerable people in a quiet, day-to-day way, and often in helping me when I'm trying to support somebody and there's something I need to be done very urgently that I'm not in a position to do. I know Asylum Link will come to the rescue, and it's that day-to-day support to people in need that can really, really make a difference. And of course it also needs people to follow all these things up. I know what I'm trying to do, but I need my staff and my staff in my office, Rob and Julie, to do that work and to follow those things up. And that often needs very precise pursuit of it, talking to lawyers, talking to the Home Office, talking to officials, following what's happening and looking at the critical points. And sometimes, as someone who came to see me earlier this week with a case which I don't want to talk about it because I think it might start to identify the person, a case which is exceptional and which I am absolutely appalled this particular person has been turned down, but I'm trying hard to overturn that. But I know that this person is possibly at risk of that knock on the door, so I have given them a letter which I hope will stop that happening, but it will not stop it forever. So I'm on the case and I'm trying to see the current immigration minister on this particular case to plead that although this particular person's case does not meet the immigration rules, particularly there are wholly exceptional circumstances, wholly exceptional, and I'm hoping the immigration minister will agree to meet me For a long time when I was in Parliament, I was first elected. Until this Parliament, I had pretty easy access to immigration ministers. Not quite the same now, but I'm testing this one out on a wholly exceptional case. And I hope the future time I'll be able to come back to you and talk to you about the case I'm talking to with a successful outcome. But at the moment, it's a very, very high my priority, a real humanitarian case. So I hope my few words will just give you some understanding of where I'm coming from as a Member of Parliament, to indicate the kind of support I can give. I can't overturn decisions, I can't rewrite the law, but I can try and help, and there are often wide areas of discretion and wide areas of interpretation that I do depend on the other people in their positions of authority and decision taking to listen, to be willing to listen, and very often they are. And I do feel privileged to be here at this event, and I do congratulate everybody who's been involved in organising it. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a pretty harsh world out there, particularly when we're talking about this topic, and I feel there is perhaps a little oasis of calmness in here. Perhaps it is a place of sanctuary, and let's hope we can keep it that way and assist more people to become part of our community as individuals and as contributors to a diverse and strong society. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Julie, from Refugee Action.
Thank you. So we've heard this morning about the change that's happened on a local level, whether that be advice workers advocating on behalf of people seeking asylum, like we saw Durrani's examples, we saw MPs, Louise's challenging Home Office, we saw the use of the legal system, the use of the media. Change is possible, but it takes us all to come together to make that happen. Refugee Action, we're a national charity, we're also a campaigning charity, and we're not afraid of taking the Home Office to court where we see fit, where we see that change needs to happen. Recently, you may have heard of the High Court challenge with regard to asylum support rates, which we were successful in. It's only, and today I will talk through what that is about. So in July last year, Refugee Action began legal proceedings against the Secretary of State to challenge the level of asylum support rates that asylum seekers get. Currently, asylum seekers under support get £5.23 a day to survive on. Imagine trying to survive on £5.23. I'm doing this today, so I calculated my breakfast probably cost me nearly £3 this morning. I walked here because I didn't want to spend my last £2 on the bus because I wouldn't be able to eat for the rest of the day. So just, imagine that. I want to just read to you a quote from a person seeking asylum surviving on asylum support rates. I cannot afford to buy anything I need, particularly things for my unborn baby. I only buy a little bit of food. That is all I can afford. This can't be good for my baby. I feel like they have put me under pressure because there is no money. I feel like they are punishing me and my unborn child for coming to this country. Refugee Action felt that so strongly that asylum support rates were insufficient, and we did not take the court case lightly. We didn't just jump in and take the Home Office to court. We spent about 5 years trying to influence and persuade the Home Office to increase asylum support rates, but unfortunately to no avail, and so the legal avenue was our only option to pursue, to actually make a change and pursue a change. We were very well placed to bring this court case together. As I say, we're a national organisation delivering an advice service and other projects and services. So we're in touch with asylum seekers all across the UK in asylum support. Ideally, it would have been great for an individual to present their case to the courts, but you can imagine that's difficult. Somebody would be vulnerable in that position and not wanting to challenge the Home Office in court about support rates. So Refuge Action were best placed to do that. A word of caution though, the Ministry of Justice have produced some recent proposals that want to limit the possibilities of organisations challenging government policy. So just a word of caution, around that. That would weaken the ability of public bodies being held accountable. So, just in case people are unaware around asylum support, so asylum seekers are entitled to what's known as Section 95 support. So that's the £5 a day that I'm talking about. While somebody is in the asylum system, they're not entitled to work, as we've heard, until a final decision is made if they're then granted status. There's a huge disparity between the level of asylum support and mainstream benefits. Initially, when NAS was set up and asylum support was set up, it was decided that asylum support would be 70% of mainstream benefits. And that took into account the fact that asylum seekers were accommodated and didn't have to pay utility bills. However, in 2008, the increase in asylum support stopped, and it didn't go in line with the 70% of mainstream benefits. And then in 2011, there was a complete freeze, which effectively was a decrease if you factor in inflation. So there wasn't a system in place that levelled asylum support with mainstream benefits. Mainstream benefits depicts the poverty line, it's the least amount that somebody can survive on. So today, a lone parent gets 49%, a lone parent asylum seeker gets 49% of what a lone parent British citizen gets to survive on benefits. And a single adult gets 51%. So it's almost half. Asylum seekers are expected to survive on almost half. This isn't right, and we've heard today people talking on how it's difficult to survive as an asylum seeker. So between October 2012 and May 2013, Refugee Action and other partner organisations, we conducted interviews with 40 people, asylum seekers across the United Kingdom, who were living on Section 95 support at that time, to understand what it actually means to survive on that amount of money. How does that affect their health, their well-being, their daily lives? What can they do? What can't they do? We interviewed a variety of people. That was men, women, lone parents, families. I won't go into the detail of that, but a variety of different people. And the length of time that the people that we interviewed have been on support varied between 1 month and 2 years. In all, we found that essentially the asylum support failed to meet essential living needs of people. So the support didn't allow for a healthy and nutritious diet, and nearly 40% of people regularly missed a meal. Parents went without meals to provide food for their children. Many people were unable to buy fresh fruit and vegetables, something that we all probably take for granted. They weren't able to buy food that in line with their religious or cultural requirements, whether that was halal food or various different cultural types of food, because it was too expensive. Asylum support didn't meet their essential living needs, so people couldn't afford to buy non-prescription medicines. They couldn't afford cleaning products for their homes, like washing powder or toiletries or sanitary products, things, the basics. People couldn't afford those things. They couldn't afford public transport. They had to limit the times that they were taking the bus. I walked today, I couldn't afford the £2 of my imaginary limit in my head. They had to choose whether they took the bus to go and see the doctor, or they took the bus to go and see to the solicitor, or they ended up walking often long distances. We're now seeing asylum seekers being dispersed far out into the north of Liverpool, quite some way from the city centre where most of the legal providers and services are. Applicants were missing appointments with their solicitors, vital appointments where they're able to engage with the asylum determination process and understand how it works, but also appointments where they may be wanting to present fresh evidence or new information, all vital to their claim, all missed because they couldn't afford the bus fares there. There was a huge impact on their health and well-being. Children didn't have the opportunity to play. Mothers couldn't take their children out, bus fares, etc., etc. Children didn't have toys, all vital in the health and development of young children. They didn't have books, all the things that other children take for granted. People were surviving on unsustainable strategies. Many of the people we spoke to were in debt to other people in their community. They were building up debts of £200 with no possibility or no idea on how they were going to pay this back. This clearly isn't a sustainable way to live and a fair way to expect people to survive. Asylum support was intended to be for a short amount of time while somebody's claim is being assessed. Home Office figures for July to September 2013 show out of the 20,809 applicants awaiting initial decision, 7,570, so that's 36%, have been waiting for more than 6 months for a decision, and 37% have been waiting more than 12 months for a decision. So people are having to live longer and longer on this temporary support, which clearly isn't enough. A government, I think it was a House of Lords report, showed the average time spent on asylum support was 525 days. This is not acceptable to live that way. So as I said, back in July 2013, Refugee Action commenced a judicial review and we engaged the Migrant Law Project. We argued that the Secretary of State had acted irrationally in her decision regarding the level of asylum support. It doesn't meet asylum seekers' essential living needs. We also argued she'd breached her public sector equality duty in coming to this decision, and we also breached her duty with regard to the safeguard of and welfare of children, of asylum-seeking children. So back in February this year, the hearing took place, and the judgment was handed down on the 9th of April. And I'm delighted to say that the decision back in 2013 was quashed, and the Secretary of State was ordered to retake the decision on the level of asylum support and set it in accordance with the judgment. So the judge found that the Secretary of State had wrongly failed to include the categories of essential living needs when setting the level of asylum support. So things like toiletries and bus fares and all those things that I've just mentioned. And she'd also got calculations wrong with regard to inflation and how the level of asylum support is set in comparison. So that's great, isn't it? So what next? The Secretary of State has until the 9th of August this year to relook at how asylum support is calculated. So there's still more to do. It's not done and dusted yet. We're still in process, and the possibility of change is there, but the change hasn't happened yet. And this is why we need all to come together to get behind this. Refugee Action are talking to the Home Office at high levels about what the judgment means and about, we're trying to persuade and influence the Home Office to say, look, we want people to have an increase in asylum support, and we want there to be some sort of system, measure in place, that we don't have to have this fight every few years, that it is, whether it's related to the rate of inflation, whether it's related to mainstream benefits, there needs to be something in place that it just becomes the norm, and if one goes up, so does the other. So Refugee Action would like all of you to join our Bring Back Dignity campaign and sign the petition. And there should be a thing up there. Click. Oh, sorry, John, I don't know what to click. It's just a screen.
I don't think it is.
Oh, isn't it? So, okay. Well, in your packs, yes, there should be a flyer about our Bring Back Dignity campaign.
It's not.
Okay. With a text number on. So please text this number, join our campaign, and encourage the Home Secretary to think rationally about this situation. And take these flyers to your community centres, to your neighbours, to your friends, and share them, and get everybody you know to join this campaign as well, so that we really can influence this change on a local level, nationally. Okay. Thank you.
I'll just get back to the beginning of those. I'll explain lunch in a minute, but somebody expressed earlier that we need to keep our focus on our mission today, and that's about the perspective of asylum seekers and refugees. We were recently in the library in Liverpool, an exhibition, and as I understand it, some asylum seekers were given cameras and take some photographs and reflect on what they saw around them. So just have a look at these. I think some of them are on display at the back as well on the board, but we'll just scan through these. I hope you can read that. I wish my family were here in England with me, I pray, that says. Really glad people think churches are places to be happy in. Can you read that at the back? Love to learn. The hospitable manager and staff at the church provide services such as music and English classes to asylum seekers and refugees. People are provided with bus tickets to come back the following week. This is important as asylum seekers. Sorry about that. This is important as asylum seekers only receive £36 a week. And you've been cheating on your quizzes, I know. Julie spilled the beans. Could you live on £36 a week for everything? And then an area there, common people, common feeling. This place is shared by many people, many of whom are experiencing difficulties in their lives like homelessness. Despite this, it's a non-judgmental place where everybody's accepted and respected. Library. Reading in a comfortable place with lovely staff, well done whoever it is. One day I went to the library and I told them I needed books to help my English. I found care and a lot of encouragement. The architecture in this building is like a work of art. The ceiling really attracts my eye. My job in my country was a builder, so I appreciate good craftsmanship. Sorry, I left that one. Unwelcoming places. More change is needed. Sometimes I wait a long time because some bus drivers refuse to stop if I'm alone at the bus stop. And then Pop World. Liverpool night show closed doors to refugees. Unwelcoming places. Lovely Anfield. You may agree or disagree. I'm being a St Helens Rugby League supporter as usual here. Lovely Anfield. Unreachable prices. Every morning without hello. This is my street. Nobody's ever said hello to me. When I say hello to them, they either ignore me or say hello without any feeling. I've tried to help the older people in the street to show them I am human. What can we do to stop this behaviour? Dog excrement there if you can't see it. How can we teach the community to keep a clean, safe environment for everybody? Everybody's responsible for maintaining a pleasant environment. The figure on the right represents me behind the bars, looking out at the freedom and enjoyment I hope for. We can see from the broken glass that the figure is trying to get escape to join the others. I was unaware of what was outside the dark window. When I broke through, I realised there were more barriers for me to overcome. And then there's just pictures about seeing Liverpool from a new perspective. Sorry about that. I think there's a lot to reflect on there. And I just want to thank everybody who's spoken this morning. I think we hope we've tried to get the mixture right, to make everybody begin to understand what people are suffering, the services that are available, the thanks, the praise, and the promises. And I want to thank Julie too for her rallying call. But before we break for lunch, can you just ask Siddy to come out and share with us his insights? Can we welcome you?
Good afternoon, everybody. As we have had a lot of challenging stories here this morning and this afternoon, so it's very important. I also give my own personal experience of living in Liverpool. First came as an asylum seeker, and then at least I was blessed to be given indefinite leave to remain within 6 months. So some people are a bit lucky here. So I think I'm one of them. So, but we still like to support other people who are still in their process. And as I heard from my colleague there, Mamadou from Ivory Coast, that was a heavy one to take today. But I would also like to share my poem, which is titled "I'm Not From Round Here." So, you are not from round here, mate. This poem will connect you with those who immigrated to Liverpool before you were even born round here, mate. All ye people round here who are today's Scousers, we are all yesterday's Scottish, Irish, Arab, Jewish, African, Chinese, and other immigrants from other parts of the world, matey. Please allow this poem to celebrate those hard-working Irish immigrants who were here before you were born, matey. This poem will also like to celebrate the hard-working African sailors that were here before you were even born, matey. Please join us to celebrate those hard-working Jewish community who were here a long time ago before you, my brother. This poem would like to celebrate all those Arab shops which have contributed positively within our communities. This poem would like to see Liverpool-born blacks welcome their newly arrived African cousins in this city, even though they are not from around here, matey. This poem would like to celebrate the great politicians of the past who have done so much for us, like Nelson Mandela, Tony Blair, William Roscoe, and William Wilberforce. This poem would like to appeal to our politicians and people in authority at a very difficult time in our country, my sister. This city will be acknowledged as a city of sanctuary made if refugee action asylum seekers must be kept around here, matey. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for listening to this poem. So this poem is taking a slow drive now to the city of sanctuary, but definitely we'll be facing a bit of barriers here. See me now cruising.
Right, as I said, if the facilitators can over lunch, if you go out and get some lunch, take some time, have a chat with people and chill out a bit, and then you've got some work to do over lunch. Do have a look at the... don't chill out for too long, Sean's telling me off. But do have a look at the minutes here, they're fantastic. Thank you very much. Lunch is out, served outside, and we can go in next door as well initially, but then come straight back in here. Thank you.
role have you taken at home office? Because it covers a whole myriad of stuff.
I head up the immigration enforcement side in Merseyside. So the community engagement teams and the arrest teams fall under my command.
Okay. I think it's really one of the important things for us was for people to hear stories, but also to think about the kind of consequence of all these different stories and all these different organisations, and wondering how we can better support each other in what we do, better think about. Because for me, the stories of people are really important to hear, but aren't a surprise because, like many people, we hear the stories all the time. So the question is, how can we make life better? How can we work together to make life better for those people who struggle and suffer, particularly in destitute society? So only little questions, what do you think?
I think if you pass my message, maybe they understand when you tell the like they are your colleague. The people sit on the like window, they take it the sign. If they give the like just smile and they give the like good answer, I think people never thinking about you like that.
Is this in the reporting centre?
Yeah, yeah.
They're mine.
Yeah.
So I can straight away take that small message back.
I don't think so. You are doing the wrong thing. You beat the people. You doing this thing in a reporting center. There people just stressful. Like when they're going through it's with me as well. When I go there, all the time I'm like very afraid to see the man. And even have a woman, and woman is the same. Like they have a same face. I don't know. They have a stress to work, but I don't know. But they never.
They've got a great boss.
Yeah, and I never see the detention like the part is like hard to explain for me, but I listen that this is very hard part as well.
They may not understand how important that is.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's why. That's why.
That may be something, because a lot of nature is serious.
When I start the college,
You know how important that is to see that.
yeah. When I start the college, I take the like letter from college to give the like man. I said I need to change my timing, signing time. And he said no, it's not possible. I said see, it's my timing. Like I'm going to this time in college. He gave me the like morning time 9 o'clock. And I sent my daughter 8:30 in school. And how can possible?
It's
By
difficult.
walk.
Yeah.
I came there, and he never allowed me. And asylum is the Peter. All the time he take me school for my daughter. Every day he give me help. And when I have a signing every week, they never give me every month as well. They put my signing every week. And I said to do my signings every month. It's easy done for me. And he said it's not in my hand. What is it? So if you are, I think he have a right to change the time. If he change the time for day, because before I have a Friday and he gave me Monday.
Yes.
So, but why he never changed the like little bit of time more? Why he never gave me 9:30? So give me 1 hour maximum. I explained him I never have money to buy like ticket for a bus. I all the time coming to by walk. So Kensington to first you leave your daughter in a school and then you go to like you need a must 1 hour. So sometimes weather is good, but not good. You need a must 1 hour. But he refused me. And then I talk in asylum link, so that's the problem with me. And Peter, you know the Peter. He all the time when I have signing, he take me there. So I'm lucky, I think. He
So
gave me help.
it
but
was
not
changed in the
all.
end. The reporting time was changed for you in the end, but it took a lot of persuasion.
In the
is that
start,
right?
have every week, and then they give me every like 6 months. They give me every month, and then again they change. When I tell the like about my college, they change again for every week. So that's thing irritate you. Why they change now? Why they change before I have a 1 month? Why they change now? That's question give you the like hard time. Or maybe they never like people.
So somebody to listen and somebody with simple changes would have made your life so much easier.
Yeah.
and also the thing that I just want to ask is, why is it that you put on the ID cards or on the letters that you send to people, like you are liable to be detained? Because I mean, I think that makes many people to be scared. We got cases because I mean, some people would come to us and say, look, sometimes if even Sarko went to the house to repair anything, they would not open the door because they might think that it's people from home office. So, I mean, somebody who cannot speak English, like I have interpreted many letters of those kinds to many people. Like there was a boy from Senegal, when they was giving that. When he came, I was reading that thing to him, but I have to read it to him, that you are liable to be detained. Then I explained that thing to him in Wolof. He said, I escaped from prison again, and they want to take me back to prison. I said, no, it doesn't mean that. But it means that anytime they can detain you, you know. So that thing makes many people very scared and frightened, you know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm old enough to remember when we would never put that on letters, but that in itself caused problems. Because at the point when people did find themselves detained, they would understandably say that they had no idea, up to the actual point of detention, that they were in that situation. So I can't even remember which government it was now, made the conscious decision to have that quite prevalent on all the literature, to show people in the line of people. Essentially.
So in case they hold you.
So why is it, sometimes, you know, those things, some people remember, some people come from war zone area, like myself, you know, been detained for 6-7 times, you know, back at home, been tortured, I mean, face all those kinds of difficulties. Okay, if I come to England, now they given me that card. If at all, like being me, I've been a solicitor, so that's why I understand that phrase. But people who have not gone to school, who doesn't understand anything in law, when you tell that person you are liable to be detained, it could cause heart attack. Because if that, like, if for instance now, the children of Boko Haram in Africa, those people, if they fled that area, because those people have been detained, so they came here, you give him that type of thing, how would he feel?
No, I understand.
Yeah.
What would you do then? Would you word it differently? Would you not have it there?
Or it's better for you not to have it there, I think.
You know? But then that is a real surprise then to people who have no concept of what their status is.
I understand what they are playing there.
Yeah.
I think for me...
No, it's the only thing that I've seen is the authorities are trying to back themselves. Oh, they're supposed to accept
it did not surprise you.
Yeah, it will not surprise you. You know. But in another word also, for the mental health of the people who fled war areas, you know, I mean, who fled prison, you know, some people escaped from prison, some women have been victims of trafficking. You know, I mean, those people have been locked indoors for many months, you know, if those people fled those things. So your mind still goes to that thing, oh, I can go back behind that again, you know. It could cause something else in there again, yeah.
And you are the front line. Today you've been here. You are going. What channels are there for you to really, right, to put this whole thing across that it's taken? Because people who are writing the policy are completely detached from reality, right? They are completely detached from reality. So they think, oh, maybe something will happen.
It doesn't work that way around though, it works the other way around. It's the government of the day decides how they want things to be, and then they push that down to the policy makers who write the policy, and then that's what's pushed down to us. Now, there are mechanisms because policy isn't always perfect. So we try and use that on the ground, find the things that don't work, and push them back up. And then the courts look at the things that are patently unfair, like the support, the refugee action. We're talking about their legal challenge on the support. So the checks and balances there are checks and balances from within inside the Home Office, but it's the courts that actually make things change.
Because, I mean, everything the Home Office writes is not law, right? Yeah. Everything is not law. Some of the policies and things, they are not law, right? They are guidelines and principles to work. For instance, what he's saying here, right? It's the same thing. What you're talking about here, you've got to go through all the legal pathway before you get anywhere, right? But the form you're talking about, what is written in this right? If you are writing, this is information which the people should know. And what is written there, the person you're giving to doesn't understand it. The way, I mean, from the listable we're discussing, what we're discussing now, these people don't understand. And we know how short-staffed the Home Office. Sometimes this is written in there, it's not even explained to the clients when they hand over those forms to them. But at the same time, that is what is going to happen to them, right? Because they're going to come to refugee action before it's explained to them, right? But then you're giving things to people who don't clearly understand. But at the end of the day, they'll be arrested for it.
Yeah, but by law,
that's not by law.
No, what I mean by law, they have to send an information to you for you to know what's up. If they don't do it, also they are also liable. They're not informing you.
I mean, there could be asylum seeker. There could be different things where these things can be made.
No, that's personal.
No, I'm not talking about personal, but I mean, when they come and those sort of things are given to them, that is because what you're giving them to them is not something which is only specific to the person, right? But it's something which is common to all people who apply for asylum, right? Yeah.
If my case have been exhausted, and now it's in the hand of the Home Office, they also have a legal responsibility to write me in English because we are in England. Yes. Now, it's my own responsibility to go to asylum's link or solicitor for them to interpret it as professionals. Then they will now do the challenging on me. If I'm not good in English, I should not even try it. You understand? That's what we're saying.
But what I'm saying is that some of them, they are not big documents. They are just simple things and they will have been listed. It's like a provision, which really have great impact on the individual you're talking about, right? And at the point where the clients are made working, they don't understand, right?
Yeah, but what I mean, if they don't send you any information, they are also in trouble because they have to send those information.
But you got to find out
like to make it
break from complicated. Yeah.
Like, there's an easier way of putting it, if you don't put it in an easy way. And then it's easier because you want to keep your condition. Then she used to say, you didn't do this, so you did this in the wrong way. And it makes it easier.
Because some of the things we're talking about, because some of the things we're not talking about law. They are simple things which, I mean, they are very simple things which people understand the system. This is what really it is, right? And the information, the importance of information about people should understand it and they understand how it works. But you are giving the information to people when the officers even don't have time to explain what it is to them.
Can I just flip this on its head?
Yes.
It seems to me that there are two sides to every story.
Yes.
And so one of the great things about having you guys on the table is that we can hear your story and the issues that you have to deal with day in and day out. I don't think anybody here would disagree that there have to be checks and balances in terms of different things. And you guys are the ones who have to hold those checks and balances, albeit it seems to me to be the whim of a political master. Probably another debate. Well, probably another debate. I think the court is quite an elongated system. Nevertheless, so you must have day-to-day issues and problems that mean that you deal with things in a particular way that we don't understand. There's an opportunity if there's anything that comes to mind to explain something with things. We hear that you are short-staffed. We hear that there are files filled up in offices somewhere, and that's completely out of your hands. That's not to do with you. That's to do with the amount of money that you're able to give. You can only work so much. I don't know what the answer to those questions are. There's definitely two sides to the story, so we'd love to hear your comments.
For me, how, whatever they're taking across, how that is received, whether they have clearly any input in those things.
I just think it's a really interesting point to Sorry, Colin,
I wasn't going to dodge the question, but I was going to let Lisa take the lead, only because Lisa has got quite a lot of experience of working within our asylum team.
I was there was, there was a lot more contact between the case owner and the individual, and I think that did help. There are more restrictions on our time, I think, from now, and that is down to some of those issues that you've talked about. But I think, this is a good place for us to get that kind of feedback and to say, well, these are the problems that people are finding by not having that close contact. I think in terms of some of the stories that are written about piles of files and things like that, I think there is a lot of misrepresentation. I think there are stories that are written that I don't think are correct, and that does kind of affect the relationship I think the Home Office has with.
So if we understood, if when someone comes to your counter, if we understood a bit more some of the issues that you had to deal with, then maybe the person or the organisations coming to support those might in turn be able to advise differently or better. So my question is really, if you're able to talk to us about the problems of having to deal with an asylum seeker who turns up for the first time at your desk.
Well, obviously, I think the first contact people have is with the reporting centre, so I think we take on board some of the comments because that is the contact that an asylum seeker would have at the Home Office. Okay. In terms of the case owner role and the caseworker role who makes the decision, that is very much at the interview process, and kind of beyond that there isn't as much contact, so I think it is the front line, and maybe we do need to do a bit of work on. So the stuff that we heard about the smile and at least feeling you've been listened to. I am really kind of saddened and disappointed by that feeling, because I think when I worked in a role where I dealt with people, I would have been very saddened if somebody thought that about me.
So that's true. I would go to sign for 2 years, and I never see the friendly there. I talk about for information. Just I do the sign, and I have to run like that. I don't want to talk because I'm scared. If I talk, I don't know what people tell me, because they never give me laugh. They never give me expression. They give me information. Maybe if I need information, I go to State Asylum Link. And even people if they are friendly, they must talk about with you. Why not? Why the people they never talk with in reception? Because people is there, they have information, but they never talk because they are afraid.
I mean, what she's saying, I'll say something about it. It's not only a problem about asylum seekers or refugees, right? We have explained that. I mean, how do I explain it, right? I mean, when you used to have, there's a great cultural change in the attitude of the Home Office staff, the front line, the reception side of things. When you had a passport office in Indian buildings, right, the way things were conducted is far different than the new one you open at the back of the right, at the back of the Echo building, right? And I've been at both ends, and I've seen what it is. I mean, it's a very frustrating reception at that end when you trying to get in. I know there's security, and I know the security implications, and the security implications and what has happened. So things have changed. But just that human touch we are talking about there has completely vanished. If you compare what it was in the Indian buildings, in the new building you got there, and the security arrangement, and how you go through. I don't know whether, the security obviously is outsourced to other companies which may be this thing, but you could actually, you could go there and see when people get in, the sort of reception which they get.
And what about the passport office staff themselves?
The passport office staff themselves, they are quite alright. But there's sort of the barriers that you go through before you get in. So that's clearly what she is.
I mean, do you have violence in those places on such a level where you need to have? I understand the need for protection against possible terrorist stuff. Do you have violence against your members of staff on a regular basis?
There have been instances, obviously, but also amongst, from individuals and protecting applicants as well as ourselves.
A lot of self-harm. So certainly in the Capitol building where we've got the reporting centre now, the security that is there, and they walk through a sort of airport-style arch, and their bags might be searched. That's not specifically looking for things that may harm the staff, because there's the glass screen in the reporting centre anyway, but it's things that may potentially bar
other people waiting or themselves. And that's what the security is all about.
How did you feel about the not listening to story thing, and why did it take 2 occasions for someone to, because it does seem to be, from where I'm sat anyway, people who we walk alongside kind of quite bureaucratic in that you go the first time and someone says no, and you go the second time and someone says no, and then the third time after you've been in front of a court hearing, which must have cost thousands of pounds, someone says yes, and it's the same story, and I don't understand why that story isn't heard the first time and it takes 2 or 3 occasions to get to the point of being heard.
I think the story is heard, whether maybe we need to look at how the questions are formulated when someone goes for an interview and things like that, or whether people feel that they can tell the full story in that environment. I mean, obviously, I don't know, was this that you felt that you were listened to when you went for an asylum interview? Or?
Yes, first time I go to with my daughter, when I feel I need to claim asylum, I straightway go to the building. My one friend, she showed me this building for have asylum. So I know how can I go there. So when I go there, I talk with someone, and one lady and one man. So I'm very ashamed. They talk with me like I'm not human. And they totally, when I talk with them, I'm crying, and they said me, that's a fake story. That's a fake story. How can you tell me I have all proof? I have my passport. I have all these. I give them my passport, my cards, everything. They listen me. They never listen me. They said you need to leave this country within your visa. So I go back. I never have any other thing, and then I go back. I take I don't want to keep solicitor because sorry my English, because I don't want to sell my jewelry and my stuff, but I never have any other choice because I don't know the legal aid have legal aid because I'm not I never have English, no speak English, so just I'm speaking my own language, and my own language solicitor is from my country. He take a good money, and then he going with me and they accept me. I never understand. I talk with the lady. Next time she see me, and straightway she take me inside and she hear my story and take action, and she doing the immediately she give me the one month visa as well.
So for you, it was once you've got a solicitor with you, that's when you felt you were heard.
Yeah. But they need to listen that when people going to buy stuff, if I never have good English, they give me interpreter.
I don't understand the process, the asylum process as I understand it doesn't fit with that unless the first time you went was a screening interview. So there are 2 interviews anyway. The first one is the screening interview. And no decisions are made on the basis of that. It's just gathering and challenging facts.
That's first interview. After the first interview, they give me the visa for temporary visa.
Yeah.
Because the lady, she hear my story, and I have all proof with my story, and she give me the visa, and then they give me the time because I'm this time not in the condition to talk, and they give me the time when they take my interview.
The full interview.
Yeah. That's where you're kind of able to go into more detail about your story.
My question is, they accept me second time. Why they never accept me when I go by myself? I tell the truth.
Because that's not the point at which your story would be accepted. It always has to go to a second interview.
No, that's not my question.
Okay.
When I go to the first time, it's the same story.
Yeah.
They said, I never take your case. They never take my screening test. They never do it anything.
Go for screening twice? Is that what
Yeah,
you mean?
twice time. Yeah. Then they sent me, second time they sent me Liverpool. This time in Croydon, London, and they sent me Liverpool. And Liverpool, they give me the then they send me the visa. You have a you could remain here because you face this thing. And I accepted, the lady accepted everything. She listened me. And the interpreter, she is behind with her, and she said, when I'm crying, she said, stop crying now. She hear your story and she accepted. She told me this. And because it's my first time, I can't explain the lady. She tell me this.
can't explain. Like,
I don't understand why you got one reaction in Croydon and then a different reaction in Liverpool.
That shouldn't happen.
Yeah, it happens to me. Like my case owner, when I came to Liverpool, I did this training interview in Croydon. I came to Liverpool. After 14 days, I was called for the second interview. And when I went to the second interview, even my case owner was throwing my papers like this because I was not well, because I was just from hospital. So I was leaning on the chair like this. He would stand up and shout on me. So if I was not somebody, who got resistant, then, he might, put me away from what I was telling him here, So I told him, look, I am not feeling very well. So he told me, why don't you call them and then postpone the interview? I told him, I don't know that I have to call and postpone the interview. If you don't explain it to me, how could I know it, And then you know that this morning, I'm just from hospital this morning. I came here for the interview. So you should just ask me the questions that they asked you to ask me, or the things that you wanted to know. Ask me those things, then I will answer you. But it doesn't work for you to be shouting on me or telling me you are lying or those things. Even if you know that I'm lying, this is not the place you should tell me. You go to your office when you're evaluating the case, then you should write back to me and tell me that I don't believe this and this and this. That's the proper way. But not to be here shouting on me, try to distract me from what I'm telling you. That's not the case. If at all he do it to somebody who doesn't know the law, who is not strong enough, maybe,
It shouldn't be like that with anyone.
Yeah, but these things happen.
I can't begin to defend.
Because I
like
know
that.
the name of my case owner. We have spoken over the phone after my case on 3 occasions, I know him, definitely. But when I went to court, when he refused me, I went to court after 1 month or something like 6 weeks. The judge allowed my appeal, and then he wrote to me, the judge allowed your appeal. So straight away, I know the court allowed your appeal. So I'm going. But for him, the only thing that he said that he doesn't believe in my case. When he called that place back at home, those people confirmed that thing to him. But he still said that I don't believe this thing. So, he was just taking it too personal. That's how I feel, So things shouldn't be in that way, at least.
So did you win your case at appeal?
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to defend any unprofessional or bad behaviour by any members of our staff.
Yeah.
But the decisions that are made are made on the basis of certain facts that we know, aren't they? And they're not always going to be right. I'm quite happy to admit that. But I just wanted to say, for me, it's comforting that there is then the appeal system that will help look and put things right that were maybe wrong earlier on.
But should there be as many people going into the appeal system as there are?
If
only a third of people are allowed, I'd be interested to know at the end of that, one of the questions on our thing was how many people get through on first hearing, and it was 30% on the third issue. So I'd be interested to know at the end of their system how many people are then allowed into that country out of 100%, because some of those will be failed asylum seekers, and some of those will be failed asylum seekers for the right reasons. And I'd be interested. I don't know if you can answer that question.
I don't know the figures.
I don't have the figures. It was various. I know when I was a case owner, I prided myself on being very thorough during the interview, so that we didn't get to that point where we had a lot of cases being allowed to court, because that is, like you say, it's very costly and it's traumatic for people to go through.
It almost should be a reflection.
Work earlier.
Yes, no, it should be almost part of their job.
And days back, I've just seen a woman here who came to us and telling us that they refused her. Then she went to court. The court allowed her. Then still the Home Office challenged the court the appeal, because
The Home Office can then challenge
the
that allowed
appeal,
appeal.
yeah, and then now she's going to High Court, I think, something like that. That's what she is.
But there are strict rules on how that challenge can happen. You can't,
So
there
what
are
are the
strict
rules?
rules
Because
around
what are the rules?
I think at the second appeal, the judge has to allow the Home Office to appeal.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
if there is an allowed appeal, so if the person's gone to court and the judge has gone into your favour and said that the decision was wrong, obviously then what can happen is we would look at that decision the judge had made. So if we felt that there was an error in law, then we could proceed with it, but we couldn't just challenge it because we wanted to. It would have to be a specific error in law. It is actually very specific guidelines and rules around it. So you don't get, where there's an allowed appeal at court, the Home Office don't challenge huge numbers of them. I don't know the figures, but it's not everyone that is challenged.
One thing I want to say here, this morning, from what she said and what you said, like clearly, the Home Office is providing a very good service. But what we clearly see is that the asylum seekers themselves feel very traumatized when they come into the situation, right? The way they are treated, that's what has been coming across. The nation is embracing, quite rightly supporting them. In fact, mostly people have been given. But what is coming across from the asylum seekers is that, the treatment sometimes they get is not. That is something which has to be taken on board.
We do, and we need to identify where that is happening, at what part of the process. Is it at screening, like your experience? Is it your experience, which was the actual asylum interview? Because as Colin said, none of that is acceptable, and we wouldn't try to justify that behaviour at all.
At their level, at the time, right, they don't know their rights, right? They don't know their rights. And somebody who has coming from a brutal background, it's only when they've gone through the system that they could come out to say some of these things they are saying. Because what we heard today is only a tiny fraction. Majority of them wouldn't like to bring the public anything at all.
Yeah.
So I think
if some of them know that today
maybe
you will be here,
if we haven't said
obviously they will not come.
People who really not only make decisions, but their word goes to a very large extent, they have influence, must also be around here to listen to what is coming across and how training and other things, because these things will change only through the training, right? And obviously, what is happening, the environment that we're living in terms of the way things come across, things come across in the media and things, doesn't help, right? Doesn't help what is happening. Right.
Sorry, I want to ask one question. When people are working in the Home Office, are they under the pressure of the current government? Because when you see sometimes the politicians are saying we don't want Britain to be a soft touch, I believe all that's all, because we have to be careful here. Does that influence you also? Because if a politician, like moment now, you're under the spotlight of you're not doing the passport thing properly. Will that now, if I go for my passport now, will you make it quick and say, oh, the whole world is watching at me? Does these things got influence in how you work?
I don't think, having been someone who makes asylum decisions, I don't think that it influenced my decision, only in the fact that although I was a decision maker, I was really essentially applying policy. So I was kind of using the policy that the government set to ask the questions that I needed to make the decision. So I suppose the policy influenced the decision, but I don't think it's a personal influence beyond that.
No, I'm not talking just about you.
No, I think in general, I would hope that would be the case for my
It's
colleagues.
more of the approach. What we're talking about here is the approach.
Do you think it's got harder to claim asylum over the last couple of years?
Of course.
It's a difficult question for us to answer.
Not to claim, to receive asylum.
To
be granted. I mean, because my experience, and if you ask these guys, is that it most certainly has by quite a large percentage. And I just wondered if that's reflected in guidelines or policies that you've received.
There isn't anything that's come into play in the last few years that I would think would make it more difficult for somebody to be granted asylum. I mean, obviously, the policy is bound to change as country situations change.
But also as our political masters change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm coming from.
I
The government that is in power, Because in the history, when conservatives are in power, it's very difficult to come. When Labour is in power, they do understand.
I mean, the shame is that asylum seekers and refugees are wrapped up in debates to deal with immigration, and really need to be talked about separately, because they are quite clearly a separate issue. And it's a shame that happens. So our debate is governed, in my opinion, sometimes by one or two newspapers who throw out emotive headlines that affects you guys.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking this question, whether those things actually influence. Because each time a conservative government comes, this is not a soft touch. You will see many people are not having stay. When Tony Blair was there, he went to Sierra Leone, showed a lot of sympathy in Sierra Leone issue because his dad was a lecturer at one of the universities. Oh my God, everybody, just say you're from Sierra Leone. It's like Tony Blair told them, you better behave yourself in there and give this lad some. Because that's how many Sierra Leoneans felt when we come here.
I mean, sometimes what we talk
6
about,
months here as a state.
the environment that we live in clearly influences the way people work and things like that. If you have vans in London with all those illegal immigrants, go. I mean, what message?
I mean, going back to that question, I think that the decision whether to grant asylum to somebody is based upon like the information that we have about the country situation. So that wouldn't change or be influenced by the government that's in power. That is factual, so that should be the same under whichever government is in power.
There's never been a government, to my knowledge, where I've been working, that has put sort of numbers on anything.
No, there aren't.
It's conditions around
what we're
looking for.
Without getting past people, David Cameron didn't he?
But
He came in and he said, I'm going to reduce numbers. But the question is, how does that affect you?
He said he wanted to reduce net migration, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which includes
No, I
students
understand,
and everyone.
but I understand. But the easy targets are those who they know about and therefore are assigned.
Home Office as solicitor, they are working get together with the Home Office. When they are going to appeal, the solicitor come to buy Home Office.
Said if you are the people providing
Yes, the solicitor, when somebody is going for an appeal case.
So, well, it's an independent solicitor, but it was funded up to the first appeal.
I think they take it very personally. When with my case, when my case is finished, so before I'm crying, so because I explain my story in front of judge, he gave me question. So when I explain it, that finally I feel pain. So I'm crying, then finish, and he sit like that, and I'm sitting with my solicitor after that's finished. So when I talk my solicitor, and he saying me like that, I'm saying, like I'm telling the lie, and he take it personally. I said my solicitor, but he have a problem. He is not a professional. I'm not like educated, and I'm not like understand like this thing about solicitor and about jobs, but he think he taking like a person.
So the person who was acting for Home Office in the court,
I don't know, they
was acting professionally towards you.
Yeah. I can understand he give the question like against me, like he have a job like that. But after when we are finished, why he give me the bad expression?
I have a feeling.
Why is it that the
even
Home
us,
Office
the asylum
also
seekers, you got nice asylum seekers.
don't
You got
provide
ones that are
solicitors
some asylum
on
seekers
your
kill many
case
people
here
in
in
Africa
jail?
for
Why is
nothing
it that they don't
come.
allow you
understand
to
where
go
I'm
with
coming
your
from? So I also
own
see, even in
solicitor?
the Home Office, as individuals, you will have people
Find your
who,
own solicitor
who
if
are
you want
fair,
to.
will follow
That is
everything.
But what about the solicitors
Strictly,
on legal
honestly,
fees?
The
if
reason
you
that we do
qualify,
it
they
is
will
to
give
try
you.
and protect
If you're not, then you get somebody
Obviously,
who
there are
just here.
cases of
You understand? We just don't want to see
So I
people
think
in this
the
country.
idea
You'll
of
find every corner to
It's
make
also
sure you
quite a
don't have
specialist area of
till you
law
get
as
to
well.
the
Not all
job.
solicitors
Who knows
understand
you are wrong, he's right. You understand? That's how
You
it
have
is.
a right.
Or what about you could
I'm
also
not
with
saying
you don't
everything
go
that
with
is
immigration
you meet
advisor,
people, even the asylum
like
seekers.
how they
You got
call
some who are horrible.
the
If you come to this country
immigration
also, you want to
advisor.
challenge them, you have
Because
no-
somebody coming
no point.
newly in this country who
He will also
doesn't,
use
who
his
cannot
own
speak
power to
English,
make
doesn't
things
know
very
anything about the law.
He
Some
understands
people who come to this country, they don't even know how to flush a toilet when you use it. You know, so you could
understand that obviously this person doesn't know what he's going for. At least that person beside her or him need an immigration advisor at least before he goes for his interview. Or even during the day of the interview, who would go with her or him to give moral, you know.
So you do have the right to find your own solicitor if you want to. What we're saying is there are a list of people that are approved as being experts in the immigration field and competent. So it's kind of to protect your interests as well. As you say, if you've just moved to the country, it's hard enough to find a solicitor, let alone know whether you'll find a good one.
They have rules and regulations that they have to abide by.
It's very, very common when we get to the end of the line with people and we go to arrest them, and they will say to us, but I have an application in, my solicitor has put an application in with the Home Office. Here's my receipt, there's the £600 that I paid. There's no application with the Home Office.
So what do you do with the after? What would you do with those solicitors? Because I mean, those people are that's a very dishonest intellectual.
There is a body that they can be reported to.
So then,
but a lot of them aren't actually even solicitors.
So.
And this is why we
So
have
now
a
who
list
is
of approved solicitors.
going to be responsible? Because if that person is being deported, arriving in his country, being killed, or who is going to be responsible? Is it the Home Office or those solicitors who took their money?
Well, who's responsible is sort of irrelevant, but the person who suffers is clearly the
This is what I mean. The Home Office should look into those things and know that these people are being cheated. Because as I have been just saying, they don't got any clue of why they are here, or they don't know the law. It's very few of them. They just fled from war zones, come here. You know, I mean, they might just think that, oh, I come here now, I am in heaven. So,
but in a way, that's what the point Lisa is making. That's why we have that recommended list of the solicitors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
And also
to try and prevent that, because obviously we know there are people out there, unfortunately, who may be not the kind of
But we
right
could come
quality
to a
sisters,
certain
and that list we
state,
know
like-
are good, competent ones, and that's why we encourage you to use the people off that list.
And also it's important why people get connected with organisations like yours and Soundlink.
Yeah. And in fact, we want to have a session with you, workshop, or either a conference with you. Maybe one time we'll get in touch. We can have it at Asylum Link, because many people got questions to be asking, and you need to answer a lot of questions which many people don't even know.
And if they are also not intimidated, because if they are coming under unnecessary intimidation, they won't come next time. That's the whole rigmarole diplomacy.
Intimidated by like what? Like
But I think I'm right. As soon as someone claims asylum and they're screened, they're signposted towards refugee action.
used to work with one.
Yes.
Paul used to work with us, one of your staff from, at that time, I don't know, they call it UKB or
UKBA.
There was a guy called Paul, he was an Evertonian. When I was working in refugee action,
A good man then.
outreach worker, he was coming here just to learn and see some of the issues.
Paul Bilbao.
Yeah, Evertonian, tall. So I was saying, we don't deal with Evertonians. But then you understand, then you can see now, he won't fight to report someone.
Yeah.
If you got a proper chance, Paul will give you. Because he has worked with us, he has seen us. He said he was surprised. He said refugees are also working.
Paul was good, but my understanding is that the funding was pulled for that post.
So the other thing again is resources.
Nice
the
to
things
see you
you want
guys.
them to
Thank you so much
So would you be willing to sponsor a session to sensitize people on three, because you know that there are 3 places in the
If you don't smile next time, I will complain about you. I'm watching you also. If you don't smile in the meetings, I will complain. Okay.
Listen, guys, we're due to finish about 1:45, and I just wanted to give us like 5 or 10 minutes to stretch our legs and go to the toilet and have a cup of coffee. What I was given just completely went out the window, and it's mainly because you two guys are sat at the table. So I just wanted to say thank you to you both. First of all, for coming, because to be honest with you, when we set the conference up, and I was one of the people who, at least in the early days, began this process, we kind of didn't expect the Home Office to respond positively, although we felt it was really important to invite, because there are two sides to every conversation and it's really important to hear all those conversations. So thank you for coming, and thank you for putting yourself in a position whereby you've allowed us to spend 45 minutes pretty much hitting you. I hope you've heard some of our stories, and I hope we've heard some of your stories as well, and that maybe, I mean, I don't know how we would progress this in a sense, but one of the important things that the conference was about was connecting organisations together so that we can, in a sense, see the human side of our, not you and us, but collectively, you know, about the church and Asylum Link and organisations who work together so that we can connect better together. And I don't know if there's any way of providing inroad, or whether you would, you know, whether there's anything that we can do in terms of connections or contacts or, you know, future conversation along those lines, because I do think it can only be positive.
And I agree, because I think it sounds corny and it's obvious, but you can't begin to connect organisations until you're actually establishing links between the people within those organisations. But if there are forums like this across Liverpool that you are involved in, that you think our presence would be welcomed and would be useful, then our contact details are on the.
Well, maybe that out of this becomes a forum which enables that kind of voice.
I think certainly there is. Certainly there should be something, a forum of that sort.
Excellent.
Yes.
We'd be delighted.
The image.
Yeah, definitely.
And some of the things that go around are myths, and there is a lot of breaking down of that we probably need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And us as well. So thank you for your time, guys. Go and stretch your legs for 10 minutes. And I think 1:45 was the time, but we might be running a bit late, bearing in mind it's 1:45 now.
I've now been given the unenviable task of trying to sum up what's gone on today. And in thinking about this, I first started getting somewhat interested in the issue when I was a child, when my adopted auntie and uncle, very close members of our family, took in a Czechoslovak asylum seeker. And that was back in the 60s, and I thought, oh, that's very kind of them. I was quite young then. And I went to meet him, and he couldn't speak English very well, but his suitcase spoke more than anything else. He went upstairs and brought his suitcase down, which was full of bullet holes from his escape. And that's always lodged in my mind. He's now a senior IT engineer in the IT industry in this country, and has contributed loads. My daughter used to work for the Red Cross in Liverpool, so I heard all the stories. And being nosy, when I went to the food bank one day, the Hope Plus food bank, and saw what was going on, I thought, we need to do something. I want to find out what's going on. So today is just about me being nosy, frankly. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what the issues are. And thinking about today reminded me, a few years ago, I was a trustee of the Midlands Sailing Venture. And they had £2 million yachts that sailed across the Channel and took disadvantaged young people across via the Channel Islands to Cherbourg. And I rather foolishly agreed to go on the trip and learned quite a lot, really. Sleeping so close to people in a 48-foot yacht for about 6 days was quite telling. But one early morning, about 4 a.m, the skipper came round and kicked us all out of our bunks and made us put our oilskins on because there was a storm about to arise and we needed to get to Cherbourg to safety. And being a landlubber, I had no idea of the protocols in sailing. And when we coming into Cherbourg Harbour, after quite a rough trip to get there, we put the ensign up, is that the right term? The national flag goes on the front, and you do some other flags to say you're coming into port. And we got into port, and it must have been midday by the time we got there, if I remember rightly. And I hadn't shaved, and I hadn't washed, and I felt filthy, and we'd been up and down in the sea. But I began to realise that actually the national flag in a harbour is promoted quite widely. We're proud to have so many people from different parts of the world in our harbour. And I also found, when I got off the boat, that the local yacht club were more than happy to entertain you if you came in on a yacht. And I went and had a shower. They didn't tell me how to stand up in the shower after having sea legs. I fell all over the place. But because I'd come in on a yacht, I was welcome, I was a member, even though I'd come from a different country. And it just made me think, isn't that what this is all about? Celebrating different countries, diversity. We're all in the human body coming in as human beings into a harbour. And that taught me a lot. And those who've been on the working group with me have been asking, why are we calling it Safe Haven, not Stone? That's the image I want to leave with you. We're on a front to humanity if we don't welcome people as members of our club who come from different countries, having had a bit of a rough ride. And we need to do it better. I had a little misgiving when we actually came up to the harbour in Cherbourg, and I found out it was near the same one that the Titanic was at, because we had to sail back 2 days later, so it was quite something. But I want you to just picture that, because I think that's really important. It's given us time today to reflect on the traumas faced by some of our friends and colleagues. I need to say no more about that. When we see on our television screens what's going on in Syria and other parts of the world, and the horrors that people are facing, how can we be so cold about it all? And we also see and feel in the country, across the country, trepidation and fear of the population in the UK, whipped up by misinformation about running out of room here. We can't take any more. Somebody actually said to me the other day, this was a former hasten to add asylum seeker and refugee who married somebody over here. We don't want to let any more of them in. When the country, actually, in terms of developed land, is only covered by 3% of the land space. Fear also, since Eastern European accents have hit Middle England from the politicians, have led to the Home Secretary saying, well, we can't do much about the European immigrants, but we can about the rest, which strikes fear in my heart of taking a sledgehammer to crack a nut in terms of numbers. And it is worrying, the rhetoric about Europe and stopping other immigration, and about fear of the other, the different. Well, friends, I think on reflection today, we've seen humour, tragedy, great ability, passion from people who work in this field. We've seen politicians wanting to improve Liverpool as a place of care and understanding, and Frank, I know, is totally committed to that. We've heard from Louise about the human face of her constituents and others who she's helped. We've heard about her family heritage. Which one of us doesn't have a multicultural background? I swear with my nose and my height, I'm half Roman, half Viking. But it really worries me the way in which the country is heading. And events like today, for me, were all about getting people to talk together. I feel keenly what's been said to us from our friends from different parts of the world. I also, I have to say, as a Christian, feel keenly about the people from the Home Office who come today, who have to police things laid upon them by the politicians. And I don't want anybody to stand in judgment, but it does make us worry sometimes how they look increasingly like the police, and that the politicians have put terms like enforcement in their job descriptions. I remember very keenly visiting Nelson Mandela's cell on Robben Island, and I was fortunate enough to go around. I was in more tears than I was today earlier. But when I realised that the people showing us round Robben Island were a mixture of former prisoners and former warders. And after Nelson Mandela was released from captivity, he went back to the island and told them both that they were both victims of the regime, and they needed to learn how to get on and understand one another better. So I really feel that what we're doing today is allowing talk across the barriers, if you like, to make a more human face to what we do. I've been nothing but inspired planning this Congress by the people who are passionate at work on the ground, and you've heard from some of them today, who are putting things together in Liverpool. I'm so glad Dave Smith's here from Manchester as well, and if you want to talk about housing failed asylum seekers, Dave and the Boaz Trust has got some books out there, is the man to talk to. It really is inspirational what churches and other caring organisations are doing in this city. But I think I want to close by offering a bit of a challenge. Again, I came into this just being nosy and wanted to see what was happening. I really feel there must be a better way of doing all this, and we've got to work towards it. And I was faced, when I worked in the West Midlands, with a huge church that was going nowhere fast. I went, we've got to do something about this, and we spent a lot of money on it, it went okay. But I think the challenge I want to put out is, if the government changed their tune tomorrow and gave us £5 million to set up a proper service in Liverpool for asylum seekers and refugees and the follow-on work after that, what would we do with it? How would we draw up a flowchart of how this would work and what part each of us, with our own responsibilities, wherever we've come from, would play in that process? I think that's the $5 million question, £5 million question. What would we do? How would we do it better? I suggested earlier that we need the passion and the fire, but we need also the organisation and the structure to allow it to be expressed properly, to minimise the impact on people's lives who seek our services, and to help them to feel integrated, befriended, understood and encouraged. So I want to thank you today. I issue that challenge, and just want to thank you for coming and spending so much time with us. It would be great, there's more drinks outside, we've organised more refreshments. If you haven't met somebody who you think you want to talk to and meet, please stay. We've booked the place till 3 o'clock. And just to remind you to fill in the evaluation forms again, because we need that for Together Liverpool. In the follow-up to this, we've called this a congress because it's about a process. This is really the start of the process. In my responsibility covering the diocese for Together Liverpool and Church Urban Fund, I want to cascade down some of the materials you've had in your packs, some of the ideas we've got from today, some biblical materials for the churches, some materials for community groups across the diocese and across, hopefully, nationally. It's good to have Terry here from down in London. I hope we can influence them a bit down there, because from what Frank said, it all happens down, they tell us what we should be doing anyway. Sorry, Terry. Really push this out. Personally, I will be organising a special meeting, because I'm responsible to the Christian churches of this area, a Social and Community Action Network meeting, where we'll take back some of the things we've learned today. Terry's done a theological reflection for us on today, and on the whole issue that we can share with that, and pull people together, because really, I want to cascade this out, and I want to challenge you to join in that process. We will email you some of those things in your pack. We're going to ask each of you to send them to 10 people you know, and on your email list, with some of the things, and some of your own thoughts about what you've learned today, because that's the only way we're going to change things. And as a Christian who believes that the church basically began with Jesus and 12 disciples, and I don't know how many billion it is now, this whole idea of cascading a message out is very vital and important. I know that's true in other faiths and in other ideologies. But please, I do encourage you and challenge you to do that. Once again, thanks so much for coming and making today so special, and for being able to talk to one another, and hopefully we've all learned from one another how to live life more fully. And I hope you've had some fun too. Thanks very much for coming.